Hi, everybody. I'm Joe Marv.
Hi, Joe Marv.
Hi. Well, I'm here today because I got traded again to Orbit.
Man, you're in here because you got traded to Orbit? That's some bullshit.
Yeah, Orbit's not even a bad team. I played on Vengeance.
I've seen him.
Yeah, and that's a shitty team. You ever played on that team?
Well, have you?
No, can't say that I have.
I didn't think you did.
Boo this man!
Boo that man indeed. Welcome to the latest edition of the Semi-Pro Show, where we talk all things semi-pro. On the field plays or off the field roster moves are all on the table. In this show, we're covering the July Semi-Pro as well as giving a sneak peek into the August tournament. I am Dion Williams, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Meg DeTusa.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We are excited to be here and look back at July and flash forward to August.
I know you guys have been waiting all month, so wait no longer. Here we go. Now let's get into our recap segment. This is where we give our observations on each team's performance. We're going to start in the order of the ELO/rankings at the start of the tournament. So just to recap, that was number 1 was Boot Camp, number 2 was Orbit, number 3 was Riptide, number 4 was Rough Riders, number 5 was Crimson Lions, and number 6 was Black Knights.
All right, let's start it off.
Okay, so my word was shorthanded for Boot Camp. While I normally don't give teams a pass for missing people, because I believe that others have to step up, and that's what Semi-Pro is about. They did have a no-show that could not be adjusted for with a sub or maybe like last-minute planning. So I definitely believe that that affected the team. I think that Boot Camp is a good team, but it definitely makes you wonder if a couple people are out and that's such a dramatic change in the results of the team. So it kind of makes you think that maybe they weren't as good as they thought they were. But again, I do give them a pass for having the no-show.
Yeah, that could definitely change your batting. What did they have 7 guys? Going from thinking you have 8 to having 7 definitely changes things in your batting lineup.
Yep.
So, and I agree with you in that, you know, I was thinking about their team and I was thinking about who was missing. And sure, you have 2 big feet that are missing, right? You have Dennis and you have Mike who are missing. Mm-hmm. But if the other 5 males, you know, can't or don't make up for, because, you know, they had subs that are solid subs, but the subs that they had, which was Priest and was Dave, you know, if they can't fit into what was missing exactly, then to your point, the other players have to, you know, step up. And it just makes you wonder if 2 people are missing, makes you wonder about the other 5. So, but the pool isn't booming to be able to make changes. So I think Kyle's just sticking with what he has. My word for them was subpar. It's kind of like a pun, right? Because they had subs. And subpar is just below average, below expectations. So they had won the last tournament, and you know, it sucks to come off of winning and have to have people miss. So because you know that you're not full, not at your full capacity, and while these subs were great, they're great guys, they're great players. You know, it's not your full team.
Yeah.
And I would just, there was some talk about, I'm very interested to see, there was a little bit of talk about Priest Fontaine. I'm wondering if they'll pick him up. So I'm looking forward to see who Kyle will move around to make room for for him on their team possibly.
Yeah, and no one, the other teams don't care if you're missing players. And remember, boot camp did win the last tournament, so everyone's technically kind of gunning for you. So no one's going to play any violins for you because you're missing players. But yeah, it just goes without saying. But yeah, subpar, I definitely agree. Um, they did go 1-2, but I think they had a close game with Crimson Lions. I believe it was. I think the score. It was only a one-run difference.
Yeah, it was 2-1 boot camp.
2-1, yeah. So that even though they won the game, I mean that's just getting by them. So yeah, it's definitely subpar. 100% agree.
Yes.
Okay. Next team we have is Orbit. So my word was fielding. It was really hard for me to figure out what's wrong with this team, and I know wrong is maybe a little too strong because this
what's
team
not
has
going right.
Yeah, what's not going
not
right
going
or
right.
right, and there are small details here and there, but what I've noticed in a lot of the games that they lost was that they had key errors in the field, right? Whether it was a ball that was dropped by the person's feet, or just a plain old drop. Those key moments in the game defensively is really what either started the waterfall, the momentum of them losing, or literally lost the game. Because a run scored and that was the only run that they gave up. So I definitely believe that they need to kind of just key in on maybe the way they're adjusting for big kicks. I just think that something, and I know that they were missing Kristen. I'm not exactly sure why she was missing, but I know that she was there. But I know she's a really important player for their defense in the outfield. But I definitely think that the difference was a key player too in the defense in the shallow outfield, second base area, deep second base. So for me, if they can kind of lock in on that and not give up those plays, I believe that that'll take them over the hump.
Right. I agree with you. We were definitely shallow dropping balls in, line driving balls in, that balls that are tough to get, you have to sell out for it. You have to, you know, make a diving or rolling catch, which, Kristen will do, and she's mobile and she's quick. Not to say that she would have played in like a center right area. She's usually, I feel like, on left or right field, but yeah, you have to be able to defend these very well placed balls. And that's where my word comes in. My word is practice, because I truly think that Orbit is a skilled team, and if they practiced, they'd be incredible, right? If they were to dedicate some time together, playing during the week isn't the same thing as running drills. And the reason that I bring up practice for them is because I feel like Gio is the type of captain to maybe implement that. He does take sports seriously. He is someone who has improved tremendously, and again, plays some professional sports and travels and understands the fruits of his labors. So from practicing and from getting better and improving, so I could see him doing that for his team and holding practices. So that's my word, because I truly believe that if they were to get some basic, like, they have some fundamentals, they're just not consistent with those fundamentals. So if they were to practice, and this was something that I had said to Gio, we were talking on Sunday, and I realized that I had like an epiphany, and I might have shared this with you as well, that there is no good or bad. There's consistent or inconsistent. There's no good player. There's no bad player. What makes a player good or what makes a player bad is how consistent they can do the right things. And so with practice, you build up your consistency. So
I feel like you got that from me, because that's what I always say. I think
I probably did.
Yeah, consistency is what makes someone good. Like
yes,
because
yeah,
kicking a ball, one good kick, deep ball or like a great line drive, like that's great. But the real dangerous players are the ones who can consistently do it and also adjust to do it the other side, or so yeah, absolutely. But I mean, you're 100% right. I think, but I also don't think practice is really. I mean, I think everyone can have this word for their team because I don't know if any team practices. So you know, it definitely applies to them, but I think it also applies to everyone. I think
it applies to everyone, but I think that in terms of being creative, running drills, and being able to do it in a way that is productive, I could see Gio being a captain who can do that. And I think that as well, my other thoughts about Orbit when I think of that team is there's mind and there's body. They have body, right? They have the ability they have strong players, like physically strong, they have fast players, but the mind piece, like the people on that team who truly really wanted, who eat, breathe, and sleep it, I would say for me are like Joe Marv, because I play with him and I know he's serious about this stuff. Gio, because he's that kind of an athlete, and that kid J Mac, like, because that kid's an athlete. He's also like, he gets on the field and you're like, this person has played sports before at different important high levels. Like, he just has that aura. And I feel like everyone else, you know, there's players who want it in different kinds of ways, and of course they want to win. Everyone's there because they want to win, but I mean, like, eat, sleep, breathe it, want it. You know, there's a difference there, and they I think that through practice and through building their confidence, individual confidence and team confidence, they'd really be able to embody that momentum that they need. So
yeah, for sure. Okay, so the next team is Riptide. So Riptide went 2-1 with the tournament. They started out winning against Orbit in a tight game. They fell to Black Knights in I think it was 8-3, something like that, 8-2, 8-3. So
7-3.
right,
Don't give yourself an extra
7-3. Wow. Okay.
I'm just kidding.
And you know, they really had their backs against the wall going into a 2-0 Rough Riders team. So this tournament, Riptide had 3 players missing this month: Matt, Zach, and Meg. I think that good teams have players step up, like I was speaking about boot camp. But this kind of shows that Riptide does have a good roster with players that can fill different roles, and you kind of didn't really miss a beat. I mean, there were some hiccups here and there, but at the end of the day, when the playoffs came, I think they were playing to their ability, and I think it showed. So yeah, I mean, good teams aren't reliant on 1 or 2 players, and I believe this was a testament to that. So yeah, I mean, that's, you know, it just kind of contrasts, I think, boot camp's performance in a sense with Riptide, right? So because I think, how many players were boot camp missing? Was it 3?
I think it was just 2. I think it was
No, it was Dennis, DJ,
right.
and
DJ. Yes,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Right.
Sorry,
So yeah, I mean, yeah, I think there is a contrast to that, and I think that good teams are going to rise to that. So I mean, that's kind of my observations. It was a deep roster that showed.
I understand what you mean. You had other players on Riptide who stepped up. Sarah Tester really stepped up.
Yep.
I was impressed with her performance for sure.
The new player, Kristen, coming in. You know,
Kristen's just awesome. I love her. But yeah, she did step up for someone who's newer. So yeah, you're right. There is a contrast there of a team who did what was needed to get it done, and a team that, you know, didn't. So I would agree with that assessment and how that played out for you guys versus boot camp. My word for Riptide. Alternatively, I see it a bit differently, of course. Saw you in the finals, so of course I see it differently. But my word, you know, I was thinking about slipping through the cracks, because I think you guys slipped through the cracks. Not to say, and I've said it, there's many a taping, a recording of me talking about how talented Riptide is and how many great players are on that team, but you guys aren't consistent. So you have players who will come up to the plate and who have been playing for years and, you know, completely kick it to the wrong place or do the wrong thing, or the thing that's not productive, not necessarily wrong, but not what needed to be done in that moment. So you just really never really know. Like, sometimes when your players come up to bat, I'm like, you know, there's a best kick, an okay kick, and just completely unproductive. And it's like there's a chance that this could be any one of them in this moment. So um, I'm not necessarily convinced that in this tournament um, you guys were the best team per se. You did get the job done, right? But I think that you slipped through the cracks with Rough Riders. You slipped through the cracks with us, respectfully, of course, because we talk about this all the time. This perspective shift of like, was it the team's skill or the other team's errors? I think for you guys, it was our errors. It was our errors for sure. We honestly, you guys came back in the sixth inning. Like you were up and we caught up to you, and that was me and my bunt.
Well, we were never losing. What do you mean?
Well, you were never losing, but like you never had it, and then we started making errors. Granted, and same with Rough Riders. Rough Riders had the same deal as us. They came back, and there was a kick in right field that was not, could have been caught, should have been caught. Is a routine catch any other day of the week. This got behind the person, and it's like, you know, it happens, and it was fortunate, and then that team just collapsed. Rough Riders just collapsed at that point. But I don't, and again, all love, all respect, I don't think that it was a testament to your guys' skill, more so than it was just slipping through the cracks, seeping through the cracks. And I tried to do a water pun here, I don't know. We both did. I don't know if anyone caught that. But yeah, that was my kind of like assessment. And then also too, I'm going to talk about it because I, gave Orbit, thoughts from my brain last time about, the winning by any means necessary. And they were very, very different vibe from them this tournament. And, but, Nick multiple times Carlos got on and then subbed himself out and had Nick, who's a faster runner. And we talked about this. I sent you a clip from I think it was your game against Rough Riders. I sent you a clip, and this was the Dylan miss in right field where Nick's on one, and I asked you if you would have scored all of those runs if Carlos was on one, and you might not have, right? So I get it's a strategy, I get it's legal, but it's just kind of like playing to certain advantages, and I play with your whole team, like and I get this because people sit people, and I'm okay with people sitting. Tiana had sat a few on her own volition, a few innings for us. You were saying that that's kind of the same thing, but I think drafting a player for a specific purpose, like their speed, is something that hasn't been done yet. Probably will be done more to draft players for certain things. But that's not a standard. So subs now it might be. Thanks, Carlos.
Well, hold on. Let me just address some of the things you were saying. Nick was a supplemental player. He wasn't drafted, so that's a big difference of how a player normally is treated on a team, generally speaking. So that needs to be clarified. Okay.
Yes.
Also, your team has been known for benching players, so saying that you should play with your team.
When
no.
When I was on the team, we
Daverick and Sauer were benched in the playoffs, the entire playoffs. Right.
Yeah, that was
but Black Knights has been known to do that even last year. So, sounds slightly hypocritical to say play with your team when that's not what your team has been known to do. But yeah, you're right. It is within the rules. Do I necessarily like it? I didn't really do that. But I'm also not the captain. And
I just think it's a workaround. It's a tricky workaround, and I get it. I don't quite respect it. I don't really respect any workarounds. Even, you know how I felt about last year. We don't need to get into it. I was very strongly opinionated about people sitting last year. So I get it. I'm a purist, I guess, and want the game to just be played as is with very minimal advantages one way or the other, very minimal sneakiness, cheapness, but that's just me.
Well, that's why I've been such an advocate of having shorter rosters.
Yes, I know you.
But it's not going to happen because people want that. But yeah, I get it. But all right, so I think that's for Riptide. So next team is going to be the Rough Riders. Now, my word is emergence. I think Rough Riders had a great tournament. I think that there were some players really, making their name and emerging on the scene. CJ had a lot of good plays. I think Kayla, I feel like I've talked about it before, but I think that everyone can kind of see her now. I know that Jimmy understands her value on the team. You know, there's other good players as well, but I think that some of these players are really emerging.
Yeah, he knows where to put her now.
Well, yeah. Again, I already knew where to put her, but yeah. They had, like you mentioned before, they had a few bad beats in the game, but that's how the game goes. I will say that we did beat them twice in a row. It's really hard to beat a team twice in a row. So while I do agree that they really had a good tournament, I do not agree with us being lucky to beat them because we did beat them twice. But yeah, I think they're fine. I think I might have been a little bit wrong about assessing some of the roster on the team. Now I know they didn't finish where they wanted this tournament, but I think that next tournament can be easily their tournament. I think that they have some momentum riding. I know that missing Sal was kind of a big difference, which caused to have that sub in the outfield. That did make a difference there. But yeah, I won't be afraid. I'm not afraid to admit that I possibly could be wrong about the team. But you know, we'll see how the next one is. But don't be surprised if they're in the mix for August.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Welcome to the world, baby Ferrugia. Because I believe that's why Sal was missing. But he definitely would make a difference in their outfield. We talk about it in one of our interviews, but I, also spoke about Tyler. I saw him make some really great catches in the outfield, and CJ makes some really good plays and had some great offense. So yeah, that seems to be working for Jimmy, and I admire Jimmy taking chances on players rather than playing it safe. Like, I will never shut up about that because I think that that's what semi-pro is all about. And I just think that they were fierce. I watched their games. We didn't get to see as many games of theirs as I wanted to see, but against you guys, they had a different fierce energy for the semis. Like, you could tell they turned it on and they turned it all the way up. And I was heartbroken for them on the sidelines, watching it come down a bit, but I'm excited to see them persevere. I'm a huge Jimmy Henn fan, so I'm always rooting for him. So, and that a lot of other players on that team who are awesome, who I adore. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens there. And I think they're a true Cinderella story, right? A true beginning to we're coming on August, September, October, we're almost towards the end, and they could do it again.
Cinderella's kind of story is kind of strong. I mean, they have 2 finale championships, so I mean, how much of a Cinderella?
With a completely different team, both times.
I understand,
the man rebuilt. The man built from the ground up. He had Scott and Penny leave. He had me and you leave.
I know all that, but it's still, if you look what team has won semi-pro, there's only been one team, and they've won it twice. So I don't feel the same way. It was. I understand what you're saying.
April to October, he's built his team up and he's stuck it out and he's made taken some risks. He didn't keep his whole team like Carlos.
Give him props, but Cinderella is not what he is.
We can agree to disagree. I think it takes it's a lot harder. We have 4 teams that are playing with who they know and who they've had, and they're playing it safe. We have 2 teams who are doing the dang thing, and that's Crimson Lions and that's Rough Riders.
Well, the players left, right? The players left. So what does that say?
Yeah, but I don't think players staying on some other teams is really working out for them either. So.
Oh, just clarifying that.
Yeah, players left and the grass wasn't greener. I mean, it is now that I'm on Black Knights. I mean, we left to be on Phantom, and Phantom is just that, a Phantom. It's a ghost.
We weren't the only team. We weren't the only players that left. But
yeah.
All right, let's get into the next team, and that is the Crimson Lions, who went 0-3 for this tournament. Doubt, right? Doubt. I didn't watch a lot of their games. I watched I think I watched 2 of them, right? One against Black Knights and one against Orbit because of having the videos
Yeah.
available to me. So doubt, right? So I feel that, and it sucks to say this, but I can see doubt on this team. I can see in the way they play the game, when things get rough, heads are low. That sucks to be in that situation if you're a player or when you're the captain. So I think that players doubting the talent, whether it's their own talent, whether it's the direction, that needs to be addressed. It's you can't be a successful team if you don't believe that you can win, or you feel that the person next to you doesn't believe that they can win. And I think that
Mhm.
needs to be addressed. And I think some of the ways you can do that is you got to team build, right? You need to practice. You need to maybe have a team night out or something. Like you need to build relationships where you can get people to buy in. That's the job of the captain. It's a tough job, but that's where the captain needs to make their difference. So hopefully they can do that. But it's they had a good tournament last tournament. I think they kind of exceeded their expectations last tournament, and that's naturally going to carry over to the next one. And then when they feel like there's a different vibe, um, that you can literally see in people's faces. So
Mhm.
I think that, and I've talked to players on that team as well, and it basically just confirms what I think. So I think that I hope that it can be addressed. I hope that they can build, because the reality is we're going into August. There's a few more semi-pros left, so you have to cherish these tournaments, and even though they're at pretty much their lowest point right now, like you have to regroup, like you said, and just like play the best you can and not worry about what happened in the past. I and I'm I'm secretly rooting for them. I think there's other people that are rooting for them because no one likes to see a team go 0-3 and just be at the bottom for so much. So I hope that they can do that. We'll see, but it's hard to ignore. So that's doubt is my word.
Right.
What about you?
Yeah. And also I just wanted to say, just for the record, because people are gonna be like, you got that wrong. They didn't play Orbit. They only saw my video with them, which was a good game for us, but not a very great game to showcase them. Um, so they played Boot Camp, uh, Rough Riders, and us, and
Oh,
Black Knights. Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah. So, and I really want to see that Rough Riders game, 9-1. Like, someone give me that video before. Well, by the time this comes out, highlights will already be there. But yeah, my word was regroup. Um, just in my game with them, I didn't see a lot of communication. I didn't see a lot of strategy shared. I didn't see, you know, a lot of, it was kind of like 3 innings up or down, 1, 2, 3 innings for them. There really wasn't too much of a fight from them. And I did also see the doubt. I mean, we beat them 3-0. Um, and they did have some subs on their team that I think did well for the most part, but yeah, I think that there just wasn't a lot of communication or direction or strategy that I saw, because there is talent. There are talented players on that team, right? Like veteran players, experienced players, and we had some leadoffs getting out, which then shifts the whole inning, and yeah, so I'm interested, of course, as always, to see what's next for them and who they pick up, being that they're first pick, and seeing what that does for them. But at the same time, picking up players, this is kind of like tale as old as time, same as TJ's teams. Like, picking up players isn't always the key. You have to your point, come together in whatever way you see fit, whether it's through practicing, through going out and spending time together. But there also has to be leadership and strategy and communication that's given to the team from captain, co-captain, whatever. And I just did not see that really. I mean, they also had like strange positions. Like Alex was playing catcher. I don't know why Alex was playing catcher. I don't know why they didn't draft for a catcher. I don't know why they didn't just even put someone else at catcher. Like, because they're, I didn't understand what exactly they were doing. I would have put maybe Faith at catcher. You don't like it, just you got to stand there and you got to run after the ball. If you don't get anything, whatever. But I thought that was interesting that Alex was at catcher when I feel like she could have been in the field and been more beneficial there. But yeah, so that was my word for them. Regroup, recenter, reset.
Hmm. Yeah, I think there was in the game, the one game that was available. I think Faith had a play where she didn't make the catch and batted it into right field, and then Priest was going after it, and he kind of fumbled it. I think that was kind of the turn of
The
that
ball
game.
went so far in right field,
Yeah,
like it bounced off and
I mean, I think
fouled,
it
but
went into
not
dead ball
quite.
territory. That's how far
It might have got, yeah, it might have gone
but
to dead
but
balls.
but
Yeah,
not right away. Obviously, it's rolling.
we
So
capitalized,
yeah,
yeah, on
yeah,
that time.
yeah. So, well, it's funny that you say that word capitalized because going into the next team, wow, Black Knights capitalized. So, also what good teams do is they capitalize on opponents' mistakes, and this is exactly what I feel Black Knights did for the majority of the tournament. Uh, you know, a lot of the games were kind of like back and some of the the game against Orbit was kind of back and forth a little bit. Well, not back and forth, but like it got close, and
Hmm.
I just think that like I said before, Orbit had some misplays in the outfield that really kind of put you guys on top. But yeah, that's what good teams do, right? Good teams are always going to take advantage of that, and that's something that you have to be careful of when you are playing a team with the quality that you guys have, the quality of players that you have. Now, I will say that going into the finals, I think you guys were a little too confident. I think that you guys kind of, I mean, you guys did make mistakes, but I think that goes along with the confidence, right? You're not always, we're all human, and it's hard to be fully locked in when you had just beat a team, right? So it's always, it's when the teams are close in talent, it's always, it's really hard to, look, it's hard to beat a team twice. I said it when we beat Rough Riders, and there's going to be a little more of a get back for the team that lost, right? There's going to be a little bit more of a fire just naturally. That's just how humans are. So I think that we had that. I think that we didn't make the same mistakes that we made in the first game that we played you guys. We had a lot of drops, a lot of balls hitting people's in their hands and dropping. That normally doesn't happen with us. Mario
Is this
slipping.
recap? Is
Whoa,
this
whoa, whoa,
recap
whoa, whoa!
about you
Let me
guys or
finish.
about us?
Let me finish. Okay.
I'm just
Mario not slipping out in the outfield. I mean, those are the things that. Well, he was wearing, which is crazy. He was wearing turf shoes on grass. Which, by the way, don't do that, guys. You're never going to get any grip on the grass. God forbid if the grass is a little bit wet, you're going to be slipping and sliding. But I believe that we didn't make the costly mistakes, and I believe that we kind of ran the offense that I guess Carlos has been kind of like catering to. I think he kind of adjusted our lineup because our lineup wasn't the exact same as the first time, and he did make some changes. And I think that while I don't always agree with the way he runs offense, it's obviously his team. So I think that he's finding who to put in where situations to do what he thinks is best for the team. So I think that was noticeable. And then, of course, like you mentioned before, he did use his subs, which was Nick, and really Rich throughout the tournament too, in certain ways that maybe weren't conventional or normally what other teams do. But this is what his vision was, and I think that was the reason why he picked these players up. I know for a fact that he talked to the people in the supplemental pool about his vision and what he wanted to
Yeah,
do,
he
and they
usually
were
does.
okay with that. So,
Right.
so I
He does
think
do that.
that we, I think
Yeah,
that
back to Black Knights.
yeah. So I think that you guys capitalized for majority of the tournament, and I think that what happened was is that we didn't give you too many things. Now we did have some plays that you didn't capitalize on to come back, but I think that the difference was we didn't give you a lot of things to capitalize on, and I think that might have been the difference in the game, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, there were definitely errors in that final game, but not typical. Everyone has a lapse in playing judgment. We all experience errors. No one's perfect. So, but I'm looking forward to playing with everyone again because we had acquired Ronald, we had acquired Mario, and those are two people who are locked in and who want it and who are on it. They're on their ish. And the reason that my word is deserving is because obviously I was there and I felt it. I felt the unity. I felt us click. I felt the domination and I felt that we deserved more. And obviously it's no one's, it's our fault. We beat ourselves. We fell short at the end of the day. But just that feeling of deserving, anyone, I feel, of course, it's a loaded statement. It sucks to go 3-0 and not win. Does the team who goes 3-0 deserve it? I mean, on paper, sure, but of course we have to finish the job. Job's not done. Job's not finished. So, but I just felt it was more of a feeling like we deserved it. Like we really meshed, we really clicked, we were on it. We were more than we've been all year. So, and we had these new players, Tiana as well. I had mentioned Mario and Ronald before, but Tiana was great and was a super big team player and just very supportive. And that's always great because you want to be able to, you know, play with people. Like she opted to sit herself, and I think that when people do that sometimes in tight games, it's nice to not have to choose for the captain. If a certain person, Tiana would say, like, I know what's up here, I'm okay with sitting, and I respect that just because it makes Rich not have to make either a hard decision or a wrong decision, or it just kind of makes things a bit easier. So she was a great team player and she played really well. So yeah, I think that we were deserving. I'm looking forward to the next one, seeing whatever Rich does Friday, Wednesday.
I think the draft is Friday, although.
All right, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it as we can. But yeah, so I'm excited to see what happens and as our team continues to grow in shape. But we're on, bitches. Be on the lookout. We're so back.
So let me ask you a question, because you did mention you guys went 3-0. The tournament that you did win, you guys didn't win any games in the pool play. Did you feel like you deserved it then, or just a question?
I feel like we deserved it then. So yes, it's not a matter of not deserving it. It's just a matter of like it was just a feeling. I think that we deserved it then, but we were still building and molding. And I'm looking back now to see what that tournament was like. We had tied you guys. You guys were out, and then we played Rough Riders. Yeah, I feel like we deserved it then, but this time I can't explain it. It was just like we were so on with each other and so cohesive, and just a few errors again is what cost us. So
yeah,
we'll
I mean,
I
I don't think some of the errors you guys make. I mean, they're not the same errors, but I feel like some of the players are making errors. So I don't know. I mean,
you think it's some of the same players?
I think some players especially some veteran players on your team are making mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what I see from the videos, right?
Yes,
I
there are,
do,
and we've addressed
and
some of those things.
I'm not like,
Yes, I
I'm
agree
not.
with you
My
that
goal is
there's
not to
some.
call out players making
Right.
mistakes, but if you're, I've said it, Black Knights is a good team. Not taking anything away, but in order to beat, I mean, the difference is beating some of the teams that are good is usually errors, and it's not. I don't think it's always your new players making errors. I'll just leave it at
No,
that.
yes, no, I understand what you're saying. I
Yeah.
definitely, and I think that we're aware of that, and we're trying to mitigate that. Kim's the voice on the field, and as our pitcher, and we're trying to mitigate any kind of errors of
Mm-hmm.
that are silly. Like it's silly little things that it's like hold the ball, don't throw. Like little things. It's like don't throw the ball. It's going to be an overthrow. That's a silly error. Things like that. So
Right.
yeah. So let's.
All right, we're
let's
moving
move
on. So I want to talk about the good and the bad, right? So the good that I feel that was going on. Well, there's a couple of things, right? So I'll go over the first one that we came up with, and I want to. The first thing would be the breakdown of new players getting involved, and as well as pool players getting involved. So I counted 7 players that were drafted onto teams, and there were also 7 supplemental players that were picked up to play on a team. So that's a total of 14 players. And I think that's a pretty significant number that people are getting involved that necessarily weren't involved, whether on a team drafted or a supplemental player drafted. So I think that it's a good thing. I think that getting more people involved is always a good sign and a healthy sign of the league, not catering to specific people, showing that the game will go on whether one of your star players are there or not. Like I think that, and you can still put a competitive team on the field. So I think that that's a very good thing that we've shown in semi-pro.
Right. Yeah, I agree. That's how it should be, right? Having new players be involved in the mix. So, okay. And then I just wanted to say that Alexa Brosler, but Alexa, she'll always be Alexa Cerulli to me. She was there, and I don't know if she was just helping out, just being kind and assisting where she could. But they might want to consider having like a field coordinator. She hung out on our sideline, and it was just nice to have someone who knows what's going on, who isn't playing. It's not Gio, it's not Sal, and someone you can ask questions to, or someone, again, she was on our sideline, so I was around her a lot. So I was just getting a lot of useful information from her. And Alexa is a very thorough person. She's knowledgeable and she gets the job done. She's someone you can rely on to have the information, get the information, whatever it is. So I appreciated that. And I just wanted to say that if they were to look into that kind of position for semi-pro, having some sort of field coordinator or someone else that's, again, not Gio or Sal, who are playing and have a stake in the game, that might be useful to them. I thought she did a really good job, whatever her position was, volunteer, hang out, just helping out, or if they actually asked her to, input the scores and give information. I thought that was good.
Yeah, for sure. I 100% agree. You definitely need someone running it. I mean, I know others. I mean, and Sal wasn't there, right? But yeah, you need someone who's not a part of a team running the tournament. And I know that Sal does the best as he can. I know Gio is involved, but like you said, you don't want people who are on teams that have vested interest. Because whether their intentions is pure, it doesn't. People are always going to have a different opinion of that, and it's going to affect the way people kind of react to it. I mean, I think there's, we see it on video, right? When a call is made and Gio will say, well, no, that's not right, or that's wrong, or whatever. There's always going to be influence whether there's intentional or not. So yes, I think they should.
Or when Sal has the mic and is on the sideline and says that that Mike Barbour gets a strike. It's
Yeah. There's exactly. So
you're not in the game, guy. What are you doing?
Yeah, definitely need a neutral party looking to keep things running smoothly. And yeah, I think Alexa, whether it was intentional or not, definitely kind of stepped into that role, showing that, there is a need for that. So that's
Mhm.
definitely a good. Um, I also want to mention the fact that there is a lot of media coverage, whether it's Amon's podcast, Pirate Radio. Go follow that. The pictures, there was a ton of pictures that were taken for the tournament. I think that's great.
Mhm.
Everyone loves to see professional photos of them in action playing. I think it's really
Yeah.
cool. It really adds to the experience, and of course, our show. I think that is really, we wanted to do it last year. It didn't really work out, but I think that because this is our third episode so far. So, and I think that it's really having. I don't really want to say it's all positive effect on the semi-pro, but I do think that it does have an effect, and I think that's really all that I really want to do. Whether it's getting what we feel our opinions out there, or involving the community in skits that we do, or just in general, just talking about stuff that's going on and making it relevant, while you're waiting to play. I think it's a good thing to have, and I'm glad that I'm able to do this. I'm glad that
Right.
people are tuning in. Again, whether they like it or not, people tuning in, and that's all that matters. And I think that's really good that we have all of this media coverage of semi-pro because it really is worth it. So I think that's a huge win for semi-pro.
That's a very good. And not everything, nothing is 100% positive, right? So to your point of like the influence that it's having or the impact that it's having, this is a competition, and in competitions people win and people lose. There's winners and there's losers. So there's always going to be someone who feels some kind of way about having lost or about losing or about, you know, whatever side of the competition that they're on. So I think that, to your point, people are talking about it. People are sharing feedback. Please continue to share feedback. Please share your videos, man. We want to see your videos. But I like the way that things have been going with the show and everybody's reception and sharing with us. So thank you. And that brings me to the next one about video challenges, which are still going strong. I'm not going to stop talking about it or saying it. I'm going to keep mentioning it because there's a lot of naysayers and non believers, but the video challenges are still proving to be, it's almost like they've been worked into a regular part. Like, people were nervous and hesitant and what about this, what about that, and they've kind of worked themselves in to be a natural part of the game now, I feel. And we call for a challenge, we know what to do, everybody, you know, we all fall in line and understand what it happens next after a challenge is called. And I do want to say, I want to shout out to the, what was it, the Riptide, who were you guys playing on the center field?
Rough Riders.
It was I thought it was Rough Riders. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. The Riptide Rough Riders game where poor Tisa got two video challenges back to back,
Yeah.
but the calls were overturned, and I think it's it's tough for umpires sometimes. So and they don't have to get the heat from the teams because you know what, there's video and you challenged it and you won the challenge and the call's overturned and umpires aren't perfect, and so I think it's serving its purpose. So
Yeah, for sure. And just to add to that, it was I said this before, and I was just in Orlando, and in the semifinals against Deja Vu, we had a team challenge. There was a peg at home, and their team it was that they got pegged at home, so their team challenged it, won the challenge, and then we had we had our own camera because you're not allowed to use the other team's camera, so we didn't like the overturn of the call, and we had a different angle, and we challenged their challenge, which is pretty interesting. We didn't end up winning because I think the umpire was kind of over it, but I think that was pretty funny that Turf Wars has been doing video challenges all year, and I think everyone enjoys it there as well. So I wasn't surprised that the video challenges here are a positive addition to semi-pro. So that's great. Yeah. All right,
Let's get
enough
into
about the
that.
good. Some of the bad. Now, this is really irks me, and I'll explain why. So, jerseys not on time. That is a thing that is seems probably pretty small when you're kind of looking at it from like the grand scheme of things, but it really makes a difference. So getting drafted on a team is a big accomplishment, right? It's there's only a certain amount of players that get to play, and when you get drafted, you show up, on that Friday night. Um, your whole team has a jersey looking uniform, and you're just wearing a t-shirt of the color the team is wearing. I think that kind of affects your mentality a little bit. Like you want to be a part of this team that you just got drafted to, and the fact that you don't have the jersey, especially when the first 2 years of semi-pro wasn't really an issue. I believe most of the players got their jerseys on time, and I think it's a really big uh, mismanagement, whether it's LA Kick's fault or the supplier's fault, to not have that on game day. So I don't know if it's they need more time. Like, and honestly, I would like to know from LA Kick's point of view, like what's going on. Why aren't players getting their jerseys on time? Like a little transparency would help. Because I really don't know, and no one's told me anything. So, and I just think that it's a huge misstep.
Right. And if they need to have the draft earlier, whether it's going from Friday to Wednesday or even like going even before that, I mean, you know, they want players to join, but players should join at this point. Like, I don't understand really giving players a few weeks in the month to join. Like, you know what I mean? Giving players a week to join, I think is enough. Like, it's all the same people in the same community.
Right.
So why not, a week after the last tournament, like, why not? Well, last tournament was what, July 24th?
Well, some months have either
It's the
3 weeks
fourth.
or 4 weeks depending
Yeah,
on the
so if
way
they
the
did
calendar.
August 7th, which is 2 weeks after, and it's the first week of the next month, of the month of the tournament, like giving the entire month for people to sign up, I get it, but I also don't, because this is established. Like, no one's going to hear about it and need to go sign up. Like, this is a thing that people know about at this point, and if, making the cutoff, making the draft, the permanent draft at least, obviously, sooner, so that you could put in the jersey order, that would be beneficial. Yeah, I definitely think that it's tough. Players who don't feel part of the team, they feel like the odd man out. That could lower their self-efficacy and their self-confidence. And then also sometimes players, get traded before they can even wear their jersey. So then it's like they have a jersey for a team that they played with, but they got traded off of, and they didn't even get to wear it with their team. So
Yeah.
definitely a bad look. Definitely, they have to figure that out. And I don't know what if they have a contract with this dude, who does Saga. I don't know if they wanted to go back to Athleta,
Yeah.
like just
Yeah, I
send the
don't know.
design, and I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but I think it'd be nice to have a little bit of transparency, because
Sure,
you know
too much
we'll
to
see.
ask for. All right. There wasn't any C4. No notes. I don't know if there wasn't any C4 because Sal wasn't there, but like,
Probably.
Alexa Brosler, if you hear me, I trust you to get us the C4 if you become the field. Like, Alexa wouldn't mess around with that. I trust her to get us that. But yeah, no C4. Upsetting. Sad. I never
See,
know if I should stop at 7-Eleven or not, and I do every single time, because I like certain flavors, but also because I'm like, I don't know if they're going to be cold. I don't know. And it's,
yeah,
I'm complaining about something they're giving us for free. But I never know if we're going to have it or not. So,
yeah. Yeah. It's just one of those things. It's not a huge thing, but when you get used to a certain level, and then you don't get that, and I'm sure there's a lot of C4 addicts, including yourself. It's noticeable. So yeah, I agree with you. That's kind of bad.
yeah.
Um, yeah, really not much more to say on that. Yeah. So another bad would be Eisenhower. I listen. I am a Nassau guy, so anytime there's a tournament, like 20 minutes, 25 minutes away from me, like I'm all for it. But I do not like the mix of grass and turf. I think that, I mean, listen, all the other fields are all turf, right? I like to have consistency in when I'm playing. I don't want to switch from grass to turf to grass to turf again. I just think that it's not appeasing to a lot of players. I know a lot of players also don't like the home plate on the turf
Yeah.
field. It causes a lot of pop ups. I just think that, again, I don't really know the process for the permits, whatever. And again, I do love a Nassau field, but I just do not like that field, and would hopefully in the future look to shy away from Eisenhower, from doing semi-pro. That's just how I feel. I think there's a lot of other people that feel the same way as I do. I mean, I would rather play in Suffolk on an all turf nice field than to play close to home and play on a mixed grass and turf field.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the mixed grass and turf and the pop up plate was tough, and then you had two other fields that were purely grass. Yeah, when you're used to playing on turf, going to grass really, you know, just doesn't feel as semi-pro or as professional, semi-professional. So yeah, it's unfortunate. I know that Sal just goes off of where he's gotten permits for before, but um, yeah. So if they could get a better field, that'd be nice. But
Or
it's
just a
tough.
different field. I mean, that's all. But
Yeah.
yeah, maybe that's something to look forward next year. But is it the end all be all? No, but I'm just bringing up the few things that I think were bad about this tournament. So that's one
Right.
of my bads.
Yeah. And my last bad. This is. I'll keep this short. Try to keep it short. It's big soapbox for me. Big TED talk. Semi-pro isn't personal. This is something that needs to be said, and people need to hear it. Like, players and captains are doing what they need for their team. It's not personal. If someone's cut, if someone's traded, it's not something against you as a person. It's what a team needs, and it's what a captain thinks that they need, and it's not personal. And I think that a lot of people take it personally, and I think that that takes the magic out of the game. So I'm gonna go to like us for Black Knights, right? Like um, we had cut Priest, and the reason for that, just as an example, right? Priest is a great guy. He's a great player. He's a strong player. You and I have talked about this. He's got a strong arm. He line drives. I was sad to see him go, but we had multiple third basemen on our team. Um, Kim plays pitcher, so we couldn't put him in pitcher. He doesn't play outfield, so we were kind of limited in what we could do. He didn't like sitting a lot, so it's like if you want to play, well, and you kind of only play third, and we have multiple third basemen. It just kind of was a bit awkward for us, and so we made a change. But it's not something that's personal. It's about a fit for a team, and I think that people are getting too wrapped up in being offended for other people, or on other people's behalf, or um, taking things personally. How I play the game personally, and my advice to people is play as a free agent, play for yourself. But if you get drafted to a team, if you get traded to a team, don't be like if Black Knights traded me, I'd be like, oh, like that sucks because I liked playing with all these people. But I'd be like, all right, my new mission is to do my job on this next team and play my role in the field, play my role in the lineup, and that would be my focus. Like, play as a free agent, play for yourself, and don't take things personally, because semi-pro is not personal.
Yeah. I definitely feel the same way. I don't take. I mean, have been traded a lot, so I will say, like, there's taking things personal, which I don't think anyone should do, because at the end of the day, it is just a game. It's just kickball, like everyone loves to say. Um, but I also don't mind if people hold grudges in the sense of like I want to beat this team, and people do that, and I think that's fine. I think that a team that trades you away, I think there's always going to be a little bit of extra when you play that team that traded you away. I think that's what makes it fun. I think that's what makes it motivating. But to your point, it shouldn't be taken too far, right? Because at the end of the day, the captain is doing what they think, whether it's true or not. They're doing what they believe is best for the team, and you have to understand that. You have to understand that signing up for semi-pro, that this is what you're signing up for. You're not signing up for Sunday Ronkonkoma where everyone's going to get equal playing time. This is a semi-professional take on semi-professional sports, so not everyone plays the same amount of time. You know, SGA is going to get more minutes than a backup point guard. It's just how it's going to be. And I think that everyone needs to understand that that's what they're signing up for and take it that way. So while I do agree with you, no one should be taking things, what captains do personal, or even things on the field personal. I do think that holding slight grudges or whatever you want to call it, I think that's what makes the competitiveness even better. It turns up the intensity, but let's not lose sight of what we're actually doing. We're playing kickball once a month, so yes, I totally agree. People really shouldn't take it personal, or not just semi-pro, just in general. But use it as motivation. Use the fact that you got traded, or as a way to, what, I'm gonna get better. I'm going to make them feel that they made a mistake trading me. That is healthy. I think that is what sports is about. But don't don't be aggressive, or don't like,
or passive aggressive,
or passive aggressive, or whatever type of aggressive, and take things the wrong way. It's it's a sport, and I think it's really important that you're saying that, and I also am echoing that. But again, it's okay to have the motivation of beating someone, but it should never get to past a certain point. And I think we all know where that line is, and I think that we're all adults, so let's just try to keep it to that level of professionalism.
And sportsmanship. Let's keep it to that level of sportsmanship. Let's not be like nasty and passive aggressive on behalf of other people because they.
Yeah, I know it's tough, but that's just we're just gonna say that. Okay.
Right.
So that does it for the good and bad. Lastly, let's get into the umpires of the tournament. So the three umpires were Hopper, Tisa, and Cowboy Matty. So I guess, do we play with Hopper? Well, the finals, but we had Matty for our two pool play games, and Tisa was our crossover game. I know you mentioned that Tisa had a couple of challenges. I think we challenged every game. I believe. I don't really have anything bad to say. I was pleased with the job that Atisa did, and
I wish she would have moved a little bit more. I always want people to move.
Yeah.
Staying on the sideline, that she probably might have gotten those challenges. And I mean, hey, she doesn't typically ump. She came out to ump semi-pro. I give her all the props in the world. This isn't just towards her.
Well,
and I don't know if she was a last minute, like they needed someone and she said yes. I find that like Hopper's here, there, everywhere. He's moving around. He takes it very seriously.
Are you gonna let me finish, or are you just gonna take over?
Wow.
You just
I don't want.
Well, I know, but
what I'm saying to get
right, you go. Give me your take.
Well, I was just gonna say that she didn't move. I don't think Maddie moved. I just would like people to move. That's it. You go.
Okay. There are a couple of things that Maddie. Some of I know we got into like the hard stop time. That was a little confusing. I don't know if Maddie didn't understand what the hard cap on the time was. So, has Maddie done semi-pro?
No.
No. Okay. So yeah. So I know there was an adjustment there because that's not normally something that we do during week play. I know we do have hard stops, but it's usually not that heavily enforced. So I think that's something that if he does it again, I think he'll kind of have a better understanding of. Um, I think that he had some tough calls to make. I didn't agree with all of them, but I also know how hard it is to see everything, and especially when the pressure is on and the competition's high. So, I do appreciate the fact that he's able to generally keep cool and, usually sticks with his call. So I do want to give him props for that. And I think Hopper's just solid. So there's not really much to say about him more than I've already said. So that's kind of what my sentiment about the umpires were. Now, to what you said, I don't know if someone was a last minute or what was planned, but I also would like to know who are the umps before the game start. And that's some more transparency that I would like to know. Not that it really means anything, but it just makes me, I guess, kind of aware of what I'm getting myself into. So it's not an important thing, but it is an ask that I would like to know the umps assigned to the fields, maybe day of or maybe day before. But I also don't know when they actually choose them. So hopefully more umps will put their name in the ring for it and get better and we'll kind of know what's going on. But I hate not knowing what's going on, who's umping and if there's an ump and who's last minute and do they really want to be there. Like, that kind of sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if they see that as much as being as much of a problem as that it just works out and it's not something that needs to be
It's
fixed.
something they can strive to, whether
Sure,
it's
but
even next year. But yeah.
yeah, but I mean, they don't see it as a problem to begin with if it always works out and they always get someone. But yeah, Hopper's solid. I thought Atisa had done well. She was loud. She was clear. Again, I just like when people move to be able to see different angles. And I thought Maddie did well as well. So I really have no notes. It would be nice to have a little bit more consistency between umpires, but from month to month. But Hopper, we know Hopper. I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen moving forward once the school year starts, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, that wraps up the recap of July. Overall, another successful semi-pro in the books. Next, we have our interviews. Hope you enjoy.
Our first guest is the only two-time semi-pro grand finale winner and captain. He's an incredible player and an even better person. He's competitive, an absolute athlete, and does things on the field that no one else can do. Welcome, Jimmy Henn.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Yes. Thanks for joining us. We're excited to hear what it is that you have to say. We've got some great questions for you. Dion, take it away with the first question.
So, we've both been semi-pro captains. So we both know what it's like to go through what it takes to be a captain, evaluating talent, captaining a team on game day, being a general manager, managing egos, even fighting captains in the meetings, right? And here you are. This is the middle of year number 3. What makes it worth it to you to go through this process?
Yeah, that is a good question. Sometimes it doesn't seem worth it, but I gotta say it is one of the things I'm like most passionate about now is being semi-pro captain for the Rough Riders. It has such rewarding moments. So yeah, like being captain, it's not easy. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of egos to deal with. There's a lot of players. I mean, all the players. You got to know all the players. You got to do the research. So there's a lot of that goes into it just on the player side. Behind the scenes, there's a ton that goes into it with the other captains. Dion, because we kind of started this thing with Sal, that like we started all the rules. We've built this thing from the ground up. So for me as captain, it's so rewarding, not just for my team, but to see the league grow as a whole. So I do want to mention that this semi-pro concept is just it's an incredible platform. So being privileged with being voted in as captain the first year, I've really taken it to heart. I put a lot of passion into it. You can probably tell. Sometimes I get very upset. Sometimes I get very excited. I really ride the roller coaster. But when you see your players excel, when you see them get on base, when you start playing the brand of kickball that works, you see the great plays, you see how happy everybody is, and then you get that win. It is so incredibly rewarding to be that captain on that team and to say that, we built this thing. We started from whether it was 3 players, 4 players, or you started with a core. You went into the draft and you built this team based on what you believe. And not everybody believes what you believe. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody's got something to say. But when you do get to the top of that hill and you win that championship, it's quite the feeling. I know Kyle said it. Kyle said it last week on one of the podcasts. That just his feeling when he won, and you could see it in him when he finally got that win. That's the best part. You get that win, and you get that feeling, and you get to see that the team is sharing in it, and that you feel that you helped bring them there. So it's very rewarding.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, it's the adulation of sharing that success at the highest level in LA Kick that really brings me joy as well. So I totally agree with you on that for sure.
I also wanted to add that I think something very different and specialized to playing with you is that you're out in Suffolk. So some of the folks that are on your team may not be able to play against you or play with you, but they know who you are. And I know for me, so much of my success last year, like I had such an amazing year last year, and it was because I was playing with you and for you. And I think that, and we spoke about this in the parking lot after, like you're doing the damn thing with semi-pro, in my opinion. You're not, you have a hodgepodge of people who you've chosen, they'll never forget the things that they've done on the field with you because they're not doing that in league play. Like you're making players better, building that confidence in some of the players that may have been around, but haven't unlocked that next level of themselves. And in players like, Amanda, Connor, Bree, like newer players who are like leveling up with you, and they're going to be able to take what they've learned there and apply it at other places. So that's like a ripple effect, I think, that is specific to me because I've felt it on your team. Like I got better as a player last year playing as I did. And I'm able to take that and apply that moving forward.
Yeah, I really appreciate that because on my side, I'm not always sure. There's a lot going on. You could try to pay attention to, every detail of the game I'm trying to pay attention to. So like when we're in the field, I'm trying to worry about where my players are in the field, but I also have to know who's up to bat, who's coming up next, who's second up next. You have no idea how many things go through my head before every pitch in every game. So it's hard to really focus on the little things, but I try to give little pointers and I try to help people out in little ways. But the Rough Riders are never going to be done growing. We are trying to get better every tournament, every game. I switched. One of the things I'm really happy about is moving Borer over to first base, and I think he's really excelled there. He's like top notch at first base now.
Yes.
We moved Kayla now out to the outfield where I think she belongs, and she played amazing there.
That's where I would have had her on our team.
Yeah. I think Amanda just needs a little bit more confidence behind the plate, but she's got all the potential in the world. She played a great bunt block, and we're making changes, we're making moves, and I love to see it grow. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So my next question is: you've played a lot of kickball in a lot of different formats for different organizations in different states. In your professional kickball experience, if you could change one thing or implement one rule without a vote that you think would enhance the semi-pro experience, what would it be?
One thing that would enhance the semi-pro experience. Yeah, one thing is tough. One pedestal I've been on in the captain's chat for a few years is umpiring. I think we should hire outside umps. I know we've been getting by with the umps we have. but let's get 2 on the field. Maybe get 2 umps that are impartial. They can read the rule book, and we wouldn't have to have any arguments about that anymore, or worry about, like, you guys don't know, but we don't know who the umps are until 3 days before, and it's always up in the air, and we're always struggling to find somebody, and it's different every time. I'd love to have some consistency there.
Yeah.
But I also proposed the marry rule this just a couple of days ago to the captains. So we'll see where that goes. I just want them to start thinking about it. The marry rule is that you could have 2 players share a spot in the kicking order. I'm kind of looking for ways to not sub people as much. I want to get the players more involved. I don't know that really does it, but it's something I'm thinking on.
Yeah.
Do you think the rosters are too big?
No. I don't think they're too big because I love the consistency. Somebody's going to be missing every time. So you have 14 people you're allowed to have. You're going to be missing 1 or 2 every month. You're down to 12. We play 10. You can make it work with 12. The captains have the choice to pick up subs. I think the rosters are a great size.
Because my opinion would be maximum of 12, but obviously people are missing. But then now you're using supplemental pool even more to make sure that you have 12 going into the tournament. Because having 4 subs every inning is kind of sucks. But if you have 12, then you only have 2 subs every inning. And again, you're using the supplemental pool more because you have a tighter roster, and people are still going to miss games. But now you're just being more active in the supplemental pool. That's what I think. But that's another.
Yeah, my only issue with that is I like the consistency of team. I like that those supplemental players. If there was 2 more per team, that's another 12 people in the pool, and those people are just changing teams every tournament. I like the consistency of staying with the captain, building with that team, earning the spot, getting more playing time, and having that, like, the team identity.
Okay.
Yeah, I get that.
All right. Moving along. My next question. So, Rough Riders has looked differently every year. What is your current evaluation of this year's Rough Riders halfway through the season?
Yeah, we need work. I think if you looked at our roster on paper a couple of months ago, you'd say, where does that come from? But the players are getting a little more known. We're getting a little more stable. I was offered a lot of trade offers, but I wanted to stick with the core people that I chose, and I wanted to kind of grow. But the team always changes. I think that every single chance I've had to cut somebody, I've put somebody on the cut list. I sometimes pick them back up because there's not somebody else available, but I'm always willing to make that change. Some people don't always want to stay. You two left. I would have been more consistent if you stayed.
Yeah.
Through the years, there have been a handful of people that have left the Rough Riders. But you got to adapt, and I feel like I'm one person that's willing to take a chance on new players.
Absolutely.
And I help them grow. I'm not necessarily worried about this tournament. Obviously, I want to win it, but I'm going to win that grand finale at the end, and I'm going to be stronger then than I am now.
Right.
Right.
And
just to educate the audience there, the cut list. So what you mean by that is that when you go into the draft, when you're gonna, if you need to free up a spot, you have to put up someone on your cut list. So they are technically cut, but you can pick them back up. So that goes unnoticed. So if I had offered someone, if I wanted to draft a player and I was full of guys, I have to offer someone up to get them cut. But if the person that I wanted to draft isn't there, I can pick up the player that I put on the cut list back on my team without actually cutting them. Just gonna I don't know, people don't really know that, but
yeah, you never know what's going to happen in a draft, so I have to have my options open.
Yes.
That's just the way I run.
yeah, and that's a strategy that a lot of captains use too. So
Yes.
because you have to. And I wanted to say too, because I always like coming back around when I'm at a more informed place. Tyler in the outfield, I've been watching the videos super fast, great pick there. I was very impressed with his speed to get to a ball, to catch a ball. He tumbles, he sells out for it, he gets that ball back in. And then CJ, how fast, man. Like I saw some of his, at bats, and I'm like, ooh, he got. He's just so fast. He's there at one. So, and he had a great, because I watched, of course, the semifinals between you two, and there was a ball that you missed swooping across. He got it from pitcher to first in like 0.1 seconds, like so fast. Like I've never really played with him or seen him play, so he's awesome. So I just wanted to come back around, because last show I was like, I don't really know him. I don't really know what's going on, but he's definitely a lot of great.
He's gonna be known very soon. He's not gonna be the unknown much longer. But yeah,
absolutely.
Tyler and CJ were my most recent ads, permanent ads to the team, and they're two guys that would run through a wall to catch a ball, and like that's the attitude I want.
Yeah, and fast, which I know you love.
Speed kills.
Yeah. So I just wanted to loop back around to that and give them some shout outs, because they deserve it. So my next question: in the coming years, pending the outcome of this October, would you or have you considered just being a player instead of a captain? And what are your thoughts there? The pros, the cons. I know you have this franchise and this brand, but let's step outside of that for a second. You told me like you've considered, just like in another universe, alternate universe of being a player. What would that look like? What are the pros and cons there?
Yeah, so I've kind of always been a captain, so it's tough. But I do play as just a player in some of my travel leagues, and it's a different experience. But it's nice to just roll and just show up and do your job and kick when they say, and and you do it and you go. After this season, if the Rough Riders are no more, I don't know. I don't know if I could just be a player. It would be very. I mean, I'm sure I would. I would have to think on that, but it's fun to be a player. But it would be very tough for me to lose that franchise and be coming back.
I'm going to answer for him. The answer is no. He wouldn't be a captain, because you lose a lot of, and it's not that you need the power, but it's your influence. Because being a former captain to a player, there's a lot of things that I feel that it gets lost on the team, because I cannot suggest things. Like, sure, I can ask, if should we do this, or should we practice here? But having that actual power as a captain to actually influence the team, that's really tough to lose. And just from the point of view of the person who's been through that, it's better to be a captain.
Man, Dion, you've been through a lot, man.
Yes, I've been through a lot. Absolutely.
How many teams have you been on?
4. You count my own team.
4.
I think. Riptide, Boot Camp, Rough Riders, them. That's 4 right there. And if you count boot camp, not boot camp, but I was on the team, but I didn't play for the team. I don't know if that counts.
Right.
A lot of teams. Vengeance.
That's right.
We remember.
So technically 5, but really 4.
Who could forget those pants?
Yeah, still got them. Yeah. Okay, so last question for me. Since you've obviously been a successful semi-pro captain, winning the finale both years, what advice could you give others who are on the fence about putting together a team, or maybe just interested in how to approach it?
Yeah, so all the captains are approaching it a little bit differently. But if anyone is on the fence, then I would say absolutely do it. Like, if you have any interest, then put your hat in the ring, get a small group of players, and see if you get voted in. The process, the process itself, like I was saying before, it's very rewarding if you can get to the top. But the conversations you're in, the people that you meet, like the little things that you see along the way, it's very interesting. It's fun if you like that GM thing. Like, if you like doing fantasy football, like this is very similar in a lot of ways. You get to run things a little bit from a different side than running a regular league. The changing team every month adds a whole different element to being a captain. And if you're up for it and willing to do it, and other people vote you in and are willing to follow, then absolutely do it. It can be a ton of fun.
I also think that there's skills that you pick up and learn from other people. Like, I'm sure that, for example, Alex being in the chat and hearing some of the things that are proposed from veteran captains, and like, oh, I never thought of that. Like, you begin to get the wheels turning of what's possible, and like your horizon expands based off of what other people are doing and how it's working for them. So I think the strategy piece from a captaining perspective can definitely expand for people when you're just in that group chat and having the conversations, proposing rules, like voting on things. I think that it causes people to think about things they haven't had to think about before. So I think it'll make someone better.
Yeah, and I would wonder what Alex would say to that. I think Alex is enjoying herself as captain. But as captain, you also need help along the way. So, while there is one captain, right now I have 4 people on the team that I'm talking with every week, in depth about our team and the direction and how we're feeling, what the lineup is going to be if we're going to make changes. So while it is a captain's role and you do have that ultimate power, like Dion was saying, I would suggest, when you bring that core in, bring a co-captain, bring 2 co-captains, make it fun, make it a group thing, and tackle this thing together. Because more minds are better than one. I've run a few tournaments and a few. And even just going a couple of months without reaching out, it gives a different feel to the team, and it just runs differently. So when you rely on people around you, you get those opinions, and you get a ton of them in semi-pro, from people you don't want them from, and from people you do. The refs will tell you, the players will tell you, the captains will tell you. You'll hear it on a podcast, but do it. Get out there, put your name in the hat, meet some more players, and do it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, every team needs a co-captain, at least one, if not 2. And I think it's also important when you kind of share that responsibility. They're taking ownership of it as well, right? It's their name that's associated with you as well, so they feel responsible. So you're going to get people's honest opinions. You're going to get that sense of like, this is our team instead of just this is your team. And I think that's really important.
And you can tell some people want that. They want to be more involved. Not everybody does, but some people are very willing to give you their opinion and to chip in when they need to.
Yeah. And you can kind of tell, sort of maybe, which teams kind of have that layering of involvement, and which teams are like, it's these people, or it's and it's not as unified with decisions, because you have to get multiple perspectives. I agree with you. You have to, like, from, the people you trust, veterans, like what people think, for sure. So my last question, you've been around for 3 years since the beginning, won 2 grand finales. You've seen players come and players go. If you could add someone to the 2027 Rough Riders team, free of charge, no need to alter your current team at all, who would it be? They could be playing, they could be not playing, because we've had some folks play and then not return. So who would you add to your roster?
It's a good question. If I could add one person to my roster, boy, it's so tough. I miss having Rich Zappa on my roster, if you can imagine that. But one person that's not in the league, I think Hopper's got to come back. If I could add him to the roster, that'd be great.
But he's not umping.
Yeah, get different umps.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love Hopper's energy. He brings on and off the field goodness. So
yes,
bring him back.
Agree.
But that makes me think of Amanda, who almost started to captain a franchise the first year, and I wish she got more involved from the start. And I would love to have another female captain out there. I love that Alex is in, but if it was more of a 3-3 or even get to 4-2 next year,
Right.
I
Yeah.
want to see more of that.
Yeah. Amanda Brennan is such a great player, and she's a ferocious captain too. Like, she would be in that chat. She wouldn't let shit slide for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
She'd
she's
be
got
calling it
experience
out.
running teams. Yep.
She would have
Yeah.
been great. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
All right. So that wrapped up our regular interview questions, and now on to our signature question. So we would like to know, what is your semi-pro moment? Now, semi-pro moment is basically what they say, like, welcome to the NFL, welcome to the semi-pro, is basically a play, a moment that you've experienced, whether it was successful or not, but just basically identifying that the league that I'm playing, this game that I'm playing in semi-pro, is not like anything else. It's very special, and everyone's on top of their game, and I have to be on top of my game, and that's just like that realization, that epiphany moment. So, and I know you've been around a while, so it could be from year one, it could be from this year, most likely year one, but give us a explanation of what moment that you've experienced that shares that sentiment.
Yeah. So again, watching this league grow has been amazing. But I can remember that first day, that first tournament. I'm sure you can remember it too, Dion.
Yep.
And just, for me, just stepping on the field and looking around and seeing the teams and how they were built, on paper was a very, shocking moment. I was like, all right, like this could be something. And then tournament two, the teams just got better. But the real moment for me was when we got to the finale, and the teams, like, they really did grow through those 7 months. And for me, it was winning that last one and looking around and seeing the team that I was on and just the elation, and like the realization kicked in. Then it was like wow, we really just accomplished something here that, like, we're not going to forget as a team. That was a year-long experience. That was like, it took a lot of work from a lot of people and a lot of dedication. And when we finally got that chain and took it home, it was a real, it was a very proud moment for me, and something I'll never forget. So while it wasn't like the welcome to the big leagues, it was a realization for me of how much this really means to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
and those chains hang proudly in my office every day. I look at them. Just so you know, I got 2 chains. You can call me 2 chains if you like, but they are here with me.
I wish we could have saw that game. We were fighting our own battle on a different
Yeah,
field.
we're fighting for our lives.
Fighting for our lives,
Yeah.
but I wish I could have.
Relegation, yeah.
Who did you-
Honestly, it was such an intense game, man. Like that relegation. Like most people probably weren't even watching it. I think I do have it on a video, but I don't think I uploaded it for many reasons. But no, that was one of the most intense games I've played. Like it's kind of incredible, and it kind of gets kind of like pushed aside because obviously it's not for anything other than pride. But man, like that was really intense. I don't know if you remember, Meg, but like. Like every play was like literally like your life's on the line,
It was on the line. It was on the line.
Yeah.
So,
I haven't felt that. Not like that. Not like that.
what do you mean? What about the championship game last year?
No, because the championship game, we went in there with confidence, right? And we weren't getting disbanded if we lost. So yes, I wanted to win the championship game as much as anyone else, but it's different when you're fighting for your life. And as the captain of that team, like it's just another level that you didn't experience, like didn't think you had. Like I can't explain it. Like it's literally on the brink of death. You're kickball of death. So
I can imagine the pressure that puts on you as captain of that team. Like,
And there's also a lot of other things going on. A lot of, the ump was a little scared of some players on the team and was altering calls. There was a lot. There was a lot of drama. It was. But you know what? Looking back on it, I think it helped me grow as a player. To be under that kind of stress, and even though we didn't win, but it definitely helped me grow. But yeah. So that's
right.
Yeah.
And I just want to say too, to your first comment, Jimmy, I remember showing up at Breezy, and it was the first time that everyone had their own jerseys. Everyone was warming up with their own team. And, you know, you walk on the field and people look at you and they kind of head nod, but it's like, I'm locked in. This is my team. Like, I remember being like, oh, you know, like, wow, everybody is here. This is official. Like, it was definitely a different feeling from, like, because the only thing to compare it to is league night with the, you know, cotton shirts and hi, it's all social and everything. This was like so intense. Like, everyone was out for blood. So that was very exciting, and just to see like how people were going to play in this format and what would happen, and it was very exciting.
It was so cool to look around that first day. Yeah, that's something I won't forget.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah. So, Kitty, if I could ask,
yeah,
how do you feel getting picked by the Black Knights? You're kind of a polarizing player. So going into that draft, you know, you left me. If anybody out there doesn't know, Dion and Kitty, I asked them to come back to the Rough Riders, and
It's
they
not
both
left.
said no.
We were always going to make a new team. It wasn't we're leaving you. I mean, I literally got traded away from Carlos because of that fact.
Right. That was the premise of his trade to you. Carlos was like, I know you're going to leave me anyway, so here you go.
Yeah, whatever. At the end of the day, you both left, all right? And then, speaking of the question you had asked Dion, Dion wasn't sure if he was going to play this season. Mm-hmm. So I messaged Dion, am I going to pick you in this draft if I get the chance? But anyways, Kitty, you are the polarizing player I'm talking about here. Yeah. So in that draft, I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought I had the 5th pick. I thought you were going to fall all the way to me and I was going to grab you. And next thing I know, Rich scoops you up. So like, how has that been on that team? And what did you think was going to happen going into that draft?
Yeah. I didn't really know. So I had Rich message me and ask my thoughts of playing on Black Knights. And I was like, I remember I was out to dinner and I was like, I need to go to the bathroom. And I called Dion. I was like, I need to talk about this. I need some support here with like processing this, because it wasn't something I would ever expect. I don't think it was something anyone would ever expect. But Rich and Joanna and I played on Pink Panthers together, and Chris Basilico. I've always had great relations with Joanna and Rich, probably because I don't often play against them. So for me, Evan, Kim, Kat, Frankie, like, I just play against them too much for us to be anything other than opponents. And now we're teammates. So it's been great playing with them. I didn't really expect it. He did message me, and then I also had messaged you and was like, what are your plans? And you're like, I plan to pick up single digits or whatever. Like, you plan to pick up ones so that was, because I was considering being like, nah, I wouldn't play with you. I thought maybe of doing that. And then I was like, well, why am I gonna, who knows? Like, I kind of didn't want to play God, so to speak. I was like, whatever happens, I'll play wherever. So that's what I had said. I was like, I have no issues. I will play whatever. And that's something I was going to speak to when I asked you my question of being a captain versus a player. This is something that you haven't experienced, but you would be the ultimate embodiment of this. Dion knows it. I know it. You're another person who I feel would join this club of like, there's a lot of power in being a player that can make or break a team, right? So if I were to leave, if I were to drop, what would that look like for Black Knights? Not that I would do that. I'm not putting that out there, but, you know, like, what would that look like for them, and what would it look like for wherever I go? And so there is a lot of power in being just a player that can kind of alter, you know, has that big of an impact. So I think about that a lot. I'm happy there. We play well together. It's, for me, this is what semi-pro is about. Like, I probably wouldn't get to play with Kim. It's been great playing with her. I admire her a lot as a player. You know, Evan, Frankie, Kat, like, all these people I typically don't play with. But I was very surprised. Everyone was very surprised. And Rich says to me, he was like he said, he's like, why wouldn't I pick you up? I have no issue with you. You're a great player, and that's what this is about. And to be honest, like that's I think the difference. And I've been saying this with like boot camp. Boot camp could have picked me up. They didn't, because of that exact thing. And how's that working out, right? So, I you know, like
Well, they won last month, so.
Well, yes, they won last month, but you know, you're letting semi-pro isn't personal, and letting personal things get in the way of.
Yeah, and I know
someone's
that's kind of
skill.
your attitude for travel teams too. Like let's just take the best talent and everybody like suck it up.
One
Let's play
team
together.
representing New York.
Yeah,
It's us
and I do
versus
love
them.
that. And I do love that about semi-pro, that like you really get to play with other people. So
Right.
I'm glad for your experience. I'm happy that it's working out for you over there. I'm always looking for a little bit of drama, so I was ready to see what happens on your team. I can't wait, for a couple of teams to blow up. When Orbit finally blows up, what's going to happen to the kickball house? I can't wait to see.
Could happen this draft.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Tune in.
When BJ finally leaves Alex, what's going to happen to that team? I can't wait to see. So I'm always rooting for a little bit of drama.
Yes, and to that point too, I had asked BJ to be to be my guest, and he was like, "Now's not a good time," and I was like, "I respect that." He's like, and then he gave me, he's like, ask Davrick, ask Priest. He did give me other people to ask. I respected that he was like, "Now's not a good time for me to."
Sounds like now is the best time.
Well,
Yeah.
I
Let it
know
all
that's
out,
why
baby.
I wanted.
Yeah.
Why I wanted to ask him. I'm like, I want to hear from the man himself, but he declined, and
Yeah.
and I respect that from him, because he's like, I don't want to mess with the team energy or say, but he was someone, to your point of kind of a little drama. I was like, let's hear from BJ, but he declined.
I can't wait to see what I can't wait to see what happens in semi-pro. It's so fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun. So.
All right. Well, I think that concludes our interview. Thanks, Jimmy, for joining us, spending a little time talking about the thing that we love. I think that semi-pro has been a success, and I think that we all kind of have our experiences, but it definitely shows that we've definitely grown as players. And it's funny that, like you guys mentioned, that like you're playing with new people, so it's like we're competitive, we're also social. Isn't that interesting how you can have both? It's not one or the other. Just throwing out there, but thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate it. Obviously, anytime we can get someone who's got as much knowledge of the game and who's been around for forever, it's always going to be a benefit to us. So thank you again for joining.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you on the field.
See you turf side.
On the turf side.
I appreciate it, and good luck to you and your respective teams. We will see you out there.
Thanks.
I love the opportunity to talk to veterans and have a platform to share their thoughts and opinions. And we have another one next. Enjoy. All right, so our second guest is Kim Mui. She is a real kickball OG. Her first season in LI Kick was in 2015. We've had a lot of battles over the years in leagues and tournaments, and they were back and forth. I'm really excited to have her on because I know she's seen it all from the early LI Kick competitive days, and generally we never get to hear from her. So I'm happy to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, very excited to hear more from you, since you are such a staple and legend in the LA Kick community, I feel. So very exciting.
Yep. Okay, so my first question, comparing the top teams, or maybe, comparing the teams from the Super League teams from 2017 to 2019 to semi-pro teams now, which generation do you think is better and why?
It's interesting. I think there was a lot of good talent back in the day, but I feel like it was very concentrated. I think if you were to do it back then, we really were kind of struggling a little bit to cover 4 teams at the time. I would say the top teams then would definitely battle with top teams now, but I think there's just a little more widespread talent now. I think just word has gotten out. The Suffolk leagues have really, blown up, especially in Heckscher and Deer Park. And we didn't really have that back then. So I feel like a lot of it was concentrated in Nassau County, and then, people that would come over from Suffolk to play in Nassau. But I definitely think there's just a bigger talent pool now, just from, I think the OGs from back then, a lot of them are still here, and then we've only added to the pool.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway is that because I watch some of the old videos every now and then, and yes, some of the top teams had like great talent, but I think the skill, like the strategy was different. I think a lot of times these top teams, the talent disparity from other teams are so large that like I feel like the top teams got away with like stuff that they wouldn't get away with nowadays because I think just overall kickball IQ has gone up recently.
No, I agree, and I think a little bit of that is just like you just play for so long, what works, and in the beginning it was like if you're good enough and you're athletic enough and you just kind of work well together, it would work for you pretty much. And now it's like you really have to hone in on your role, what you're doing. Every at bat's important, where to kick it, how to kick it, and I don't think we were thinking about it as much. The only time I think really think about us, it got really tight was, championships or playoffs and stuff like that. In regular season, it was more just, kind of do your thing. And, there weren't opportunities like semi-pro and stuff back then. So it wasn't as competitive or tight in a lot of situations back then.
And for everyone who is listening, would you guys be able to just briefly share what was Super League and who are some of the players that were popular then for 2017 to 2019, just so people can understand what it is that you're talking about?
Yeah, we only did it in the summer, right, Dion? It was just a summer. I think it was just 4 weeks, 4 teams. It was draft, right?
I think someone was draft. Sometimes it was build your own team. So
yeah, I remember one of the first times was build your own team. That was I remember that was one of the first times I met Jimmy playing. He came to the Glen Cove Super League. But I remember also back in the day, it was draft, and I was on Carlos's team a while back, and that one didn't even finish because it got rained out. We ruined the fields, but. It was just 4 weeks, and it was doubleheaders. You played everyone in a doubleheader, and then the last week was championships. So it was a lot shorter and condensed. So kind of similar to like the draft style leagues we do at the end of each, in November. Pretty similar, but more top tier talent in that one. Right,
because the leagues there wasn't a lot of leagues, so the people that were participating were the only people that were participating in those gun club leagues. So you did get a top talent because everyone knew everyone. So you're not drafting someone who, wasn't as good. So you definitely did get like the top players. It's very similar to like a semi-pro format in a sense where, it's all concentrated to one place. So, it was the most competitive league that you could play throughout the year.
Right. So it was like semi-pro in its infancy before Sal knew what semi-pro was. And it was on Sundays, right?
Very,
Sundays.
I mean, not in the sense of like, once a month, but like, it was the only opportunity you had to play with people you don't normally play with that were good because you normally play against them.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't on a Sunday either. It was definitely a weeknight.
It might have been Tuesday or Thursday.
Either a Tuesday or a Thursday.
Okay, cool. So it was like a weekday league.
Yeah, and it was only 4 weeks, so it was quick. Yeah.
And when was it during the year?
Summer.
You said that it was just summer. Okay.
Sometime in the summer. Yeah, it was definitely summertime. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So my first question is, you missed out on the first year semi-pro. You didn't sign up. You didn't play, right? So when you had first heard of it, did it interest you? Did you think about joining the pool at all in year one? And why did you not join in year one? What caused you to be hesitant about joining in the first year?
So I wanted to join year one. Actually, when I thought of it, when I heard about it, I was really interested. It definitely, I like playing with, I like playing in these leagues that are competitive, and I like playing with people I don't normally play with. I always play with my friends and the people I'm used to, and I love it. But a lot of like tournaments or even draft leagues, I like doing it. just because, I like meeting people. I like playing with different people. But I tore my ACL that off season, so I didn't play all of 2024. So, I heard about it from everyone, and I remember just being like, I can't wait to play next year. I know we had plans to potentially start a franchise before that, but found out I had to get ACL surgery in like December of December before semi-pro started, so I couldn't.
That's
I couldn't
right.
play.
I do remember that now that
Yeah.
you were coming off of another surgery.
How long was that recovery time?
It wasn't as bad as my first one. For anyone that knows me, my first recovery was horrible. This one, so I got surgery February 1st. I had a pretty good recovery. I actually even played maybe like the last 2 weeks of the fall season in 2024. So, it took about 7.5 months. I was like playing again. It was more of just to get my feet wet and just, get back into the swing of things. But honestly, semi-pro of 2025, my first season, that was like the first competitive thing I did in a year and a half, which was pretty crazy. And my body definitely felt it after that. So, but yeah, no, my recovery was much better this time, but it was my second one. So wanted to take a little easy, and that's why I still wear my brace today.
Yeah, of course. I have a few follow-up questions to that. Did you injure playing LA kick?
No, I was playing in an alumni basketball game at my high school in December. I felt it kind of, I didn't feel a pop, but I felt it just like kind of give out a little bit in my brace, and didn't feel anything of it. I kept playing, but the next day it just kind of got a little swollen, and I was like, after my first surgery, it never felt the best, which is why I kept wearing it. I had my first surgery in 2017, and usually people can ditch their brace and be fine, and I just never felt it was strong enough to completely ditch, especially in just like cutting situations or running full speed and changing directions. Like I just never felt comfortable. And so I was playing basketball and I felt it, and I went to the doctor, and my doctor was like, your ACL is still intact, but it's like frayed and hanging by a thread. If you keep playing sports, it's gonna go. So either you get surgery now, or you're gonna get surgery, if you're gonna stay competitive and stay, playing sports. So I just decided, let's just get this over with as soon as possible. And there's my cat. But yeah, so it sucked. It wasn't like I tore my ACL twice before. So once on my left one and the other one on my right one in college.
Goodness.
And those two times, it was a big, you knew when I tore it, I was down, I couldn't walk. So this one was a little different because I didn't know at the time. I thought maybe it was meniscus, maybe I just, tweaked something. I wasn't expecting to hear, I tore my ACL again for the third time. So
Right. And I have just 2 more follow-up questions real quick.
Just take the whole interview. Just go ahead.
Well, just because you're such an athlete and people know you for your athleticism, what's the background of the sports that you've played in college? Like, you just give us a little bit about you athletically.
Yeah, I grew up playing soccer, softball, basketball. Those were like my 3 sports. I played a little hockey when I was a kid. Actually, that was my favorite sport growing up, but my mom made me quit in 6th grade because I was playing with old boys, and they were at that age. They were trying to, I was being targeted, so they were like, "Okay, you're done with this." But for most of my life, soccer was probably my number 1 sport, probably until about 8th grade, and then really started to get into basketball. But I played all 3 sports in high school, and then I played basketball in college.
Wow, very cool. I didn't know that about you. I mean, you kick a ball like you could, but I just feel like you could probably pick up anything and be really good at it. But I didn't know that you played soccer. What was your position in soccer?
I played forward, so like I like soccer, but like I wasn't super skilled. Like I'm athletic, so I can, I'm fast. I can do things, but like ball handling wise, I wasn't the most skilled. So I think to move on past the high school level, like I don't know if I would have been there.
Right.
Whereas basketball, I was definitely more skilled and a little better there. And then in high school softball was good too. So I was pretty good at all 3 in high school.
Cool. And honestly too, that's right. Spring, fall, spring, summer. You had a sport all year.
Yeah.
Cool. And then just this last one real quick, and then Dion, you can do your second
Oh.
one, because you had mentioned this, and I'm curious. You said when you heard about it, you were interested and you thought about putting in a franchise. Who is on that franchise for year one? Who were you contemplating
little T.
coming in with? Yeah.
I feel like I had a few early conversations. I think Evan was always in that conversation, which we eventually made that franchise the second year.
Right.
I feel like I may have talked potentially to Kenny a little bit early on. I think those were the only two people that were seriously interested in maybe doing one.
Okay.
But obviously when I got hurt, things changed and,
Right.
you know, we didn't pursue any further. But it was early conversations.
I was hoping to hear some lemon drop or balls deep names.
I mean, we had wanted like people like John to join. I don't know. I think there was somewhat interest, but I also think their work schedule, I don't know if they would have been able to do it either.
Right. I feel like John would love it. John would love it.
But I also, I think because he, you know, for their job, they had to travel all the time. So I just don't know, like, commitment wise, if they'd be able to get it done.
All right, cool. All right, that's it. Dion, you can go to your next question.
Can I talk now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's getting back to the semi-pro things. Black Knights came onto the scene real strong. They won the first 3 semi-pro tournaments and the first 4 out of 5 tournaments. This year, you guys won the second tournament and just recently had a pretty dominating run up to the finals of July. But we are 4 semi-pros in, so what do you think led to the success of the first year of Black Knights? And what has led to the slightly slower start this year? Now, I say slower, I mean, you guys did win the second tournament, but it definitely is slower than winning the first 3. So, you know, talk to me about, like, what do you think went right the first year and what was challenging maybe the second year? Or I don't know how you see it, but I'm just kind of throwing it out there.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fair assessment. I think early on last year, we were really clicking. I don't know if there's another way to describe it. I just think we had really good chemistry. You know, and I played with a lot of those people, but there's a few people on that, you know, early tournaments that I had never played with. But, you know, you kind of get lucky sometimes in the draft and you pick people and they just fit right in with how you play, your energy, chemistry. So I think a lot of that was clicking early on last year. And honestly, this year we have a lot of the same people, you know, a few newer people, like we never really played with Meg, you know, and just some other people we drafted that we just didn't know how they played, how they gelled with us. So I think early this year, even in our win in the second tournament, like it never felt like the chemistry was totally there. You know, we're all very talented. I just think just some things didn't go right. I just felt like the energy was off, and especially in the third tournament, I just felt like the energy felt chaotic, frenetic, and we never got on a good foot. And I even said to Meg in the beginning of the first game of last tournament, I said the energy just feels so different this tournament. You know, we made a few changes and playing with people a little more familiar to us. And I just think the chemistry is so important. Everyone is talented. What sets you apart is just chemistry. And then, of course, you know, from tournament to tournament, people play well, people don't play well. You go with the flow. I think for us, we feed off each other's energy so much, especially in our core. And I think that was a big difference between last year and this year. And now I think we're starting to pick it up again, you know, showing with last tournament. I think we had a really strong, you know, obviously first 4 games, and, you know, that last game just didn't come together for us. But I think that's probably the main difference for us.
Yeah. And I'm going to say as well, because he was named in our last interview, but Hopper. I think Hopper I think he was your leadoff. So, like, you know, having a leadoff or someone in that 2-hole consistently is so important. We all know it. You know, and not having him in our last interview, he was discussed in terms of Rough Riders and how he was a benefit there. And I think he was definitely a benefit last year for you guys. Just that energy, that confidence. You know, Hopper really is a player that brings a lot to a team. And I know that we've all tried to persuade him when we had first pick, like, hey, come on, we'll pick you up. Because he is such an important piece, I think, to last year. So just to name someone who was a difference maker, I think, last year to this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Hopper's a little like me. I think, even if things aren't going well, I think his positive energy and just his enthusiasm, I think it brings everyone up with, even if it's not vocal, it's more of like lead by example. And he works hard all the time. He's running everywhere,
Yes.
I just think that energy is invaluable. So yeah, I think we definitely miss Hopper on the team. I think that definitely attributed to, one, our fast start last year. One, we're used to playing with him, and then two, him not being on the team this year. It's definitely, a missing piece in that sense.
Yeah, he's all heart.
Yeah,
he's
100%.
all heart, and it kind of like overflows and fills everyone else up if they're a little bit more depleted. So,
definitely.
Yeah.
So just to kind of speak to that, about your team coming in fast. So I remember last year, people were worried that, like, because you guys were so used to playing with each other and on the same level, they thought that was like a huge advantage, and it was coming into it. But I always tell people that, like, they're having a lot of success now, but I think what the league needs to do is they need to figure out how to approach it, because every team plays differently. Sure, there's like the basic standard way to play, but everyone has their own flair, their own way of going about things, their lineup, right? So I think that, in my point of view, I think that the Black Knights in the second year, people didn't understand how to play you guys. I'm not saying that we solved the problem, but I think that people got more comfortable in the way you guys played, and I think it's kind of showed towards the end of the year. You kind of was able to adjust to it. Like, the league was able to adjust to the Black Knights, and credit to you guys, the fact that you guys were that much of a threat to have to force the league to get better. So I think that's what happened. I think that, as talented you guys are, I mean, everyone's talented, like you said, and you had to figure out, how does this person kick, and film helps and stuff like that. But, like, I think towards the end of the year, we kind of figured out the way Black Knights played, and we're able to kind of mitigate that in a way that we weren't able to in the beginning of that second year. That's my point of view. And I told people, because, like, everyone's like, oh, this is not fair. They're coming in as a good core six. And I'm like, just wait. We'll figure it out. There'll be more tape. Just like a rookie quarterback comes on the scene, right? They're killing the league, and then the second year they have a regression. I think it's the same thing. I think there's more film on tape. There's just you're able to see what succeeds against them, what doesn't, and then you can kind of adjust your strategy there. I think every team should play team specifically based off their roster, right? Every third baseman plays differently. Not everyone plays like Jimmy or Dennis. So, and I think you need to attack those players differently. The outfield is always going to be different. So I think that the league, it took a while, but I think the league figured out how to mitigate some of your talent to the point where it became competitive. And then once you can do that, then it's a crapshoot. One error can change the game. So that's what I thought. All right, so my last question for you, I think it's my turn. There's been so much going on, I don't even remember.
My turn, but you could go.
Yeah. So how, if so, has kickball and semi-pro changed the way you approach the game? Strategically, socially, mentally? Has it made you a better player? And, like, what's changed under those three categories?
I don't know if anything's changed per se. I guess about me specifically. I'm pretty good about compartmentalizing. When I'm at semi-pro, I'm competitive. I still like to have fun. We talked about this in our group chat, Meg. Like, I was just smiling in every single one of our pictures that was taken. I like having fun, but when I need to turn it on, I'll turn it on. And then league play, I'll if I need to slowly turn it down, I can turn it down as well. So I don't know if it changed anything necessarily from my approach to kickball, but definitely, like, change in a way of, like, just, it's awesome to be competitive again. Being a college athlete and former athlete and competing all the time, it's definitely an outlet for me to keep doing that for as long as I can. It's definitely just it's definitely been a positive, I would say. And just like the conversations that you have with your team and captains, constantly throughout the month, it adds a little more something to your life. It's not just the same thing every day and all that. And then, yeah, I guess, you're always looking out for new talent, right? See people who can join and stuff. So I guess just like watching other people, you definitely pay attention a little more. Look out for other teams, not just your own or who you're playing. So you're always just constantly have an eye out and just listening for new people. But, I found it a way to just meet new people and just, broaden my reach in the leagues. I think it's been really great. I've met a lot of just good people through semi-pro too.
Yeah. So semi-pro is competitive and also social. Those two things come together. It's amazing how that works. Okay.
I've always felt like that, Dion. So
yeah. Well, I've been dying on this hill for a long time. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us about playing pitcher. Is this a position you ever thought you'd be routinely playing? And how is pitcher in semi-pro different than league play? And is there any other position you'd be interested in playing in semi-pro?
So no, I think in league play, I don't typically play pitcher. I will every once in a while. Obviously, you run around, you play different positions. Just
when they're blowing out a team by 20 runs, she'll play pitcher.
Yeah, and just kind of move people around, see what they want to do. I think in semi-pro, I even want to say the first tournament, I don't think I started there. We had someone else start there, and then I think towards the end of that tournament, I think we needed someone to settle things down, take control, understand what's going on. So like, all right, I'll get there. And also for me, like I wasn't. It was my first time playing competitively since my knee, so I was like, maybe it's a little better if I play pitcher. I don't have to, run around as much, and I can just be there. And once I was there, I think, and even Evan and Rich say, they just like when you're at pitcher, everything is just when you have the ball, when you can control it and know when to play something, when to step out. I think it's a benefit to the team. So I never envisioned it, but after that first tournament, it just kind of stuck. All right, like you're gonna stay a pitcher. The team just feels more settled when you're there. So then it just stuck. So I'm always open to playing other positions, but I definitely want to do what's best for the team and what they think is best for me. I think we have other players that can fill their roles, like second base, Rover, like you and Kat are great there. So it's not like we're missing me being out there. So I think I fill a role, and I want to keep doing that. So
yeah, definitely. And it's intimidating. We talked about that first game we played. Like I was behind the plate and I'm looking out and I see like Evan and Frankie double charging you and Kat, and it's like, where do you kick? Like this is so scary to look at. And you definitely do control the field. You've had like the most successful pegs of anyone ever, including the one you almost got at third.
Kickball pegs, just so everyone knows, not sexual pegs. Okay, I just want to clarify that.
But from pitcher, you'll step out and you'll make that choice to throw that ball. You got someone multiple. You got BJ in one of our games last year around Rough Riders, and you got Borer also. And it was like, damn, like stop, like giving Kim the choice to make a peg because you're gonna get got. It's like incredible accuracy. And I think too, something I've always said in the difference between league play and competitive play, some people will put someone at pitcher as a throwaway position, like someone who maybe isn't as good. Pitcher is the only position that is guaranteed to touch the ball every inning. And I think that putting someone there who is questionable could always be a risk, because again, if they may be the only person who touches the ball, or they're guaranteed to be one of the few people who touch the ball every single inning. So it is such an important role that I think gets overlooked in league play.
I agree, and I think to a degree it's a little bit of feel, right? And to your point, like the pegs, like I think a lot of people are used to just the pitcher is going to catch the ball, hold it, and hopefully they can they're not halfway, right? And sometimes I'll like look behind before I catch the ball and I'll step off the mound and try to make the play, right? Or, I think like to your point, I think in the league play, a throwaway position, I think even just catching the ball cleanly, right? In the box and making sure you're in there. That's so important, especially in semi-pro when everyone's trying to get that advantage, take that extra base. It's super important to just have someone that knows that they have to catch the ball cleanly. They can't bobble this, or else that's the difference between a run and that could be your game.
Absolutely.
Your tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, what roles, understandings, or qualities do you think are crucial to have on a team for a team to be consistently successful in semi-pro? So roles, understandings, qualities that a team has to have to be consistently successful.
Yeah, and I think every team's different, right? And we say roles is a very broad thing, but it's true. Like like I'll say, like our team is not super bunt heavy, especially on the guys, right? So knowing that some of our girls need to bunt, and I know I don't bunt too much, but if I have to, I'll bunt. I think when you're inviting new people or trying to draft new people, it's about finding the role that best fits your team that you're missing, right? I can't say specifically what it is. It could for one team, it could be I need more power kicking. Like I need someone that fills that role. Position wise, if I need someone to play a better outfielder, like that's what I need to do. And to that point, I think early on this year, we had a lot of people filling the same roles, and in the last few tournaments, we've had to go out, find different people to fill different roles. So I think it's very dependent on your team and what you need. If you need more speed, go out and get more speed. So I can't say specifically what that is, but for every team, it's going to be different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think too, for us, something that you had just kind of touched on that I'm going to be talking about more in the recap, just generally, like semi-pro isn't personal, right? So if someone has to sit, if we have to share time, if we have to, it's all about doing what's best for the team and what the team needs at the end of the day. And Rich says that to us in our pre-meeting of just like, whoever's having the best day today, it's not based off of history, historically, like I'm going to be creating the lineup and the fielding based off of who's having their best day today. And I think that that's something that some teams really understand and some players really understand, but then some people don't. And that could kind of like jam up success on a team personally. Like you have to have that understanding. It's not about you and your personal glory. It's about us and the collective, and we have to do what's needed. Like I love it, but I'm, playing catcher sometimes because I don't mind throwing myself to the ground. So I think that's an important understanding that for a team to be successful, they have to come around to accepting.
Yeah. I agree.
And I just want to speak, because you brought up the catcher thing. If you're a catcher in a semi-pro and you're not diving for the ball, you're doing your team a disservice. I see it way too much. I don't care if you're fast. Sometimes the umpire is not going to give you the call. Like you have to make it very decisive. And when you don't, when you slow down and bend over and pick up the ball, that's 2 steps that you just gave the runner. So that's just one of my pet peeves. This is not a shot on any direct person, but just if the shoe fits, wear it, man. If you're a catcher out there and you're not diving, do better. So just want to throw that out
I'm not super fast, obviously, but the reason I got Gio, and when I got him, he was like, okay, I see you. It's because I'm throwing myself on the ball. That gives that extra advantage. Whereas to Dion's point, running beside it and this like bend and snap motion takes too much time. You have to get your body on it, because then that's the possession right there. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that goes along with roles, right? It's like there's a role for everyone. And if yours is catcher and you want to stay there, you got to make an effort, right? And then like I go back to your point about just everyone knowing their role. There's only 10 positions, right? And most people have 13, 14 people, and not everyone's going to play all the time. I can even go back to college basketball. I wasn't a starter. I was, I played 15, 20 minutes a game, and, but your role, you have to understand it. And especially in semi-pro, you know what you're signing up for, right? Not everyone's going to play equally. It's not a regular weekly league where you're expecting everyone's rotating in and out. I think there are definitely times you can be unhappy, but at the end of the day, it's about the team, and what you think, and what's best for the team. You can't have, there's only one ball, as they say, right? So there's only one ball. You gotta,
Tell LeBron that on the 76ers.
exactly. You gotta, I think when your time comes, you have to do your job. And I think good things will come from it. If you try hard and you do, kind of what's best for your team, and you're not, kicking away in a situation where you should be bunting or placing the ball. And if you're giving your all in the fields, more often than not, things will go well for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like your individual performance is not going to be what's remembered. The team's performance is going to be what's remembered. Winning and losing as a team is going to be carried over. Your individual base hit or home run is not going to be recorded on the semi-pro website or whatever. But your wins and losses are. So that's what's important. And I think that's a message that everyone needs to hear. It's about the team, not about you. So I'm glad that you said that, because I've been saying that forever, and eventually my voice just gets drowned out. So I'm glad other people can say it.
Mm-hmm. All right, you want to take it away with
Meg,
the last?
I'll let you wrap it up. You've been so good in this interview, so.
Okay, so our signature question, we have a what's your welcome to semi-pro moment. So we ask all of our guests this. It's a moment where when you were playing semi-pro, usually it'll be within the first year because it hits you unmistakably of like, wow, this is something different. This is semi-pro. This is our big leagues. And it's this welcome to semi-pro moment. What is your welcome to semi-pro moment?
I don't know if I can think of a specific moment, but I think I mentioned it before. I think just where I knew it was different was just like how I felt after that first tournament, and how just like run down my body felt. Like I remember in that first tournament, I think it was Chris Brand. He bunted up the first base line, and we didn't have a bunt block, and I sprinted and did one of those like diving and like shoveling passes, and just fell to my face. And this was my first pretty much tournament after a year and a half, and just like barely being able to walk the next day. I just remember those specific plays, just like, okay, like every play, every game, everything is like this play. You have to treat it like it's almost your last. Like you're going all out every single play. So I think that's the definition of semi-pro, is just there's no possessions, there's nothing that you take off. It's every second of every moment that the other team can capitalize. So you have to play it out at the hardest. You're not just letting plays go by, you're not letting balls drop. Everyone's going all out and diving at all times. So that's just kind of how that first tournament, just remembering how all out everyone went, and including myself, and how it wasn't even something that was said. It was just the energy and the feeling of that first tournament. It's just different than anything else.
Yeah.
That you have to kind of like get in with that kind of vibe, because everyone else is on that same vibe. So it's, you can be social before the tournament, but once that first pitch is rolled out, everyone locks in, and like that's just what it is. And you can't joke around, because you're joking around and not taking it seriously. The 13 other players are taking it seriously, and you're going to feel out of place. So you have to kind of like fit into that vibe. So yeah, for sure.
I think it's also what makes semi-pro a little difficult, right? Is because like it is so intense and competitive, but you also have to balance that with not putting too much pressure on yourself, right? Like I think there always is that little balance where if you feel too much pressure, that's when you mess up, right? So I think that's also what could separate someone from someone maybe awesome in their league play, and then when the pressure comes, it's like, you kind of fold a little bit. There's always that little delicate. There's all that little delicate balance, right? It's just not making sure you're not putting too much pressure on yourself, trusting your teammates, but also while staying competitive in it at all times.
Yeah. You're always gonna have pressure. I mean, anytime something means something to you, you're gonna feel pressure. But I tell people, because I hear this all the time, they get nervous, and it's like, the more reps you do, the easier it gets. Like going up with 2 outs, and you need to get a base hit. You can practice that in practice. Sure, it's not the same environment, but your body, like the way you kick the ball for like a single, you need to build that muscle memory. When you have that muscle memory, a lot of that gets taken off. Like catching a ball, right? We've done it so much, you don't think about how to catch a ball, So it's a lot easier to catch a ball in a high pressure situation because your body's going to take over. It's the same thing with kicking. Like when you do it so much, you know how it feels, you know where you're going. So that's not going to be. You're not going to be as high pressure situation when you've done it so much to the point where your body just knows how to do it. So those people who are experiencing that high stress, I would suggest practicing more because that's how you get yourself to build that confidence. And a lot of people, a lot of players, no matter if they've been playing for 5 years or not, when they go up there and they don't know what to do, you already are beating yourself up because you're not prepared, and that's going to make it even more stressful. But that's just
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, well, thanks for allowing me to be part of you and Meg's interview because that was quite the interview. But I'm happy that you decided to come on with us and talk because I think that a lot of what you have to say, other people kind of feel the same way. And I think it's important coming from someone who's been around for so long and who's been pretty much a staple in the competitive scene, also being one of the top girls for a long time. So I think it's gonna really resonate with people. So thank you again for coming on.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Aaron. Yeah.
And and we'll see you turfside.
We'll see you on the turf.
Sounds
Bye.
good. Thanks, guys.
Bye. You know what time it is. DJ, hit that song.
Whispers in the quiet room about who's got walking papers soon. Another roster spot in bloom. It's just that time for our tea. Pass the sugar for the bittersweet. All the closed door meetings. Oh, the taste of free agency. That tea, yeah.
Okay, so we have our draft board here. So first off, there was no trades, which is different from this whole year. We've always had at least one trade, so that's interesting. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, I thought for sure there was going to be some trade activity. Nick Tonini had joined the pool and he is friends with Carlos. So I thought for sure that there was going to be some trade activity from Riptide to get a first or second round pick. But I still think in the future, maybe Kyle picked up Nick for a trade in the future with Carlos. But yeah, I could have sworn that was something that was going to happen.
Yeah, I haven't seen Nick play in a while, so I don't really know, what his, like, he obviously has skills, but those skills definitely diminish over time. You don't step away from kickball for years and just come back, especially in this platform of semi-pro and, like pick up where you left off. So, I'm interested to see how much interest he has is playing again, or was it just for Carlos? I feel like we know the answer to, but we'll see how it shakes out. So, yeah. Going into the first round, Crimson Lions had the first pick for the draft. So, let me just 1 second here. Okay, so yeah, Crimson Lions picked up Indus. Hopefully, I'm saying that correctly. I apologize if I'm not. For their first round pick. I haven't really seen him play, so this is basically an uneducated opinion. But I think that I think the Crimson Lions has a bunch of good guys. I don't really know. I don't feel like they've been addressing what their real issue is. And I think their real issue is some of the female talent. Now they did address some of players last month, but I still think there's more improvement to be made.
Right. Yeah, I've heard that this guy is a soccer player. He's fast. He kicks well. So I'm interested to see him because I don't really know him. I'm not sure if I've ever seen him play. I think that Faith dropped, right? So, right? Do I have that right? Do you recall? I had said it before. I want to be accurate.
I think she dropped.
I'm just going to check really quick. Yes, Faith withdrew. So that I thought was interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I said it before, I think it's more so communication and leadership. That this is kind of the same thing that we were seeing from TJ's team, right? Like you can add all the players you want, but if the captaining and the leadership and the communication and the strategy isn't tight, then adding these players, it's just like piling up, different players who are good, of course, on top of each other, but it's not really forming anything. So I'm hoping that they can kind of clean that up a bit.
Yep. So the next pick in the draft was Rough Riders, and they picked up Nick C. or Cannellini.
Yeah, they cut Connor and picked up Nick.
Yes. Now Nick had.
And Brett withdrew. I said, and Brett withdrew, I believe, because I saw him in the pool, and he's not going to be here for a few tournaments or something.
Yeah, I think it's scheduling issues, so I think he just kind of removed himself, I believe. I didn't really talk to him, so I'm not sure exactly why. But yeah, so in any event, Rough Riders picked up a guy that they needed. Nick, we had highlighted Nick in the last episode. We said that he has a good mindset. He's fast. He can get on base. I think that Jimmy saw that. Well, Jimmy had a good look at him because we played back-to-back games. Now, I believe Nick was used as a sub, a pinch runner in the playoffs, but in any event, I believe Jimmy kind of saw some of the qualities that he really enjoys in his male players. So I think it was a good fit. It fits Jimmy's system. So this is, I think, a very positive addition to his roster.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Very interested to see more from Nick in semi-pro and on Jimmy's team. I said it in the interviews, Jimmy, I believe from my personal experience, has a way of, players kind of, rising to meet their potential playing with him. So I'm excited to see how that goes for him. He's got a real mix of new players. So I love that. I think that's awesome for, semi-pro purposes.
Yeah, for sure. Then next we have Boot Camp. They picked up the Nick Tanini, the elephant in the room. Now, I believe Boot Camp cut DJ to make room for Tanini. Now, I don't know if Kyle had reached out to Nick about the possibility of changing his mind about playing on the team, or maybe this is a trade bargaining chip. Not sure, but there's we have 2 weeks until semi-pro, or roughly around 2 weeks or a week and a half. So we'll see how this shakes out. I mean, there could be trades next week, who knows? This is all still on the table. So this is kind of like an ongoing thing. Now, my opinion is, I feel very strongly about what kind of players we want for semi-pro, right? We want players who want to have a competitive environment. We want parity, which is done through a draft process. And any time where it feels like a player is trying to circumvent that draft process, I don't think is good for the league. So, I'm actually applaud Kyle for picking up this player, because a lot of captains probably would just pass knowing that, he's not going to play for them. And that's not what we should have in this league. Don't join semi-pro if you only want to play with one captain. That's not what we want here. There's plenty of opportunities to play, tournaments, everything, if you want to play with your friends. So just want to reiterate that. I know we said that a lot in the last couple of months, but here we are in year 3, and we're still dealing with, this. So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think that it's possible because, Los is a mastermind. So I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I'm going to call it now what I see in my crystal ball that I don't have. Tanini plays or doesn't play for Kyle, but I would bet that Los is going to trade some girls to boot camp, maybe a girl and a guy, for Tanini. But also, I don't know, picking up Nick Tanini, from my experience, he plays third. I don't know if like Dennis is going to be out anymore, and maybe that was the thought, and maybe Kyle reached out to him. But even on your team, you already got 2 thirds, unless someone's looking to get traded away. But you're probably not going to boot camp, so, and Taft's not going anywhere. So, Nick Tanini signing up is suspicious just because he's been out of the LI kick world for a while. So I know that Lo spoke about, he subbed for him last year. And so Carlos, I think, is the only real connection to Nick currently. So the motivation for Nick to join looks like it's Los motivated, but obviously he's on boot camp. So it seems like a future move. It may be happening. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, he I think he subbed for him in the first year, not last year, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe.
Yeah. 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 We'll see. And by the way, I feel like he's an athlete. He can probably play outfield. I don't think he's tied to third base.
True.
So I think
you know better than me. I
Yeah.
never played with him.
Well, yeah. So like, if Kyle was going to use him, if it's not at third, I'm sure he'd fill in probably the role where DJ was playing. I think Tanini is a good enough athlete to kind of just jump right in and fit where he gets in. Okay, moving along to the next team, and that was Orbit. They did not make any moves, so that's why there is a hula hoop dance next to their team. I don't think they really needed to make any moves. I think their improvement is coming from the people that are playing on the team, and maybe like we mentioned for that team. So I think that it was smart not to make any changes. I know that they didn't perform as well as they wanted to the last tournament, so that kind of makes people just look at the person next to you if they're any good. But I think that they have what they need to win, so this doesn't bother me.
Mhm. Yeah, don't really have too many notes. If there's I would have personally dropped the girl for Amanda Martinez. That's just me. I mean, getting to her before we could, or before Los. I heard that Los wanted Amanda. And other people had made comments. So I've heard, when the draft was going on, about how she's, good, we were hoping to get her the next time around or whatever. And so we were able to pick her up, but I would have dropped. There's ladies I would have dropped for Amanda on Orbit. So I can see that being a missed opportunity.
Well, just to talk about that. So you can only cut one person. So the Nick Tinini part made Orbit make room for a guy. You can't make room for a guy and a girl in one move. So you have to kind of choose which one you're looking to pick up.
What do you mean the Nick Tanini?
So Orbit has 8 guys, right?
Right.
So if they wanted to pick up Tanini, then they have to give up a guy to make space. You can't draft 9 guys. You have to be legal. Right. So no, listen. So if they have full girls, you can't drop a girl and a guy to make room for both. You can only make room for one sex. So they chose to bet on the guy to pick up.
Yeah.
Now they didn't get the guy, but then that means they lose out on the girl. So
You're right.
So they might have maybe wanted Amanda, but they put a higher value on picking up a guy, so they lost the opportunity to draft.
They made a guy cut, and then they didn't.
Right.
They didn't.
They couldn't pick up a girl.
Anything.
Yeah. The only thing they could have done is maybe trade before, but I don't know if that was that. So just giving some insight of like the inner workings of the draft, because
There's
you
a
have
lot
to make
of
a choice which one you wanted.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Moving along to the Black Knights. Now, their first pick, I believe, was Amanda Martinez. I think she filled in right for Crimson Lions this tournament.
Yes.
So now there was only one video for me to kind of like look at. So, and the one video that you had, it seemed like, well, my notes on her was that, she had a nice placement kick between third base, pitcher, and shortstop. And what actually impressed me, well, number one, that's the spot you want to go to. And then number two, when she kicked the ball, she started running. She didn't look to see if the ball was caught or dropped. She just basically hightailed it out of the box and got to first. And that's something that you want to see out of a player. Those are the things that, and she's not like a super fast girl by any means. Not slow, but she's not like a blazing fast runner. But she got there quick because she didn't waste any movement, any steps. She just went straight in the line, right to first. And that was pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I like the ad. Now you guys had put Cat on IR, is that correct?
Correct.
All right. So what that does is that frees up a space without penalty, and Cat is ineligible to play. I think it's 3 tournaments, so which basically knocks her out of this year. Okay. Any thoughts?
Yeah, Amanda's great. I mean, I played against her, in Huntington, so I was able to see her in one of our games, and she definitely stood out. She has grit, she hustles, she makes a lot of great catches. She played shortstop on Kickin' Bass with Joe, which is her Huntington team. And yeah, I'm very excited to see her in action and have her join our team, our strong lady squad on the Black Knights. So very excited to see that. And then Steve Soma, we had won with him, so we're excited to have him back. He kind of solves our catcher dilemma that we were having. I'm not going to be behind the plate. It's heartbreaking to me because I love playing catcher. But yeah, so we've improved. I'm very happy. Obviously with the last pickups with Tiana, Ronald, and Mario, we improved, and now we've improved even more. So very excited to play with them in a few weeks.
Yeah, obviously Soma has what it takes. You guys already proven that you can win with them, so that's kind of a no-brainer that you guys picked him up when he was available. I've watched some of the most recent clips of him playing. Just looking at his offense, because remember we played with them year one. We've done a lot of practicing and worked on fundamentals, and I hope that he can get back to the fundamentals that he learned with us 2 years ago. I know that there was a big gap from when we were playing with him, and I know he put it other people, and I can see that he lost a little bit of that offensive ability, which I know he can get back. But hopefully with you guys and playing with a bunch of
Yeah.
other veterans, he can
Yeah.
kind of get back on that track because it's almost I almost don't recognize him behind in the box batting anymore. So
Right.
if there's one thing I would say is that hopefully he can get back to the old Dem fundamentals from year one.
Yeah, I think so. The confidence of people rises with who they're around and the kind of culture that's on a team and the kind of energy that's there. So I think that Steve will fare well with us. So
I believe it's the high tide rises all boats is kind of what you're looking for in that sense.
well, speaking of tides,
Yep.
let's just go right into this whirlpool over here.
Riptide. I mean, there's not much to talk about in the draft realm here. Just a picture of a riptide on the beach. But yeah, no, the roster, is fine. I'm not sure what was there to add male wise. I mean, unless you're adding Tanini, but like you said, there's not really a spot to really improve. Just changing things for the sake of change.
Mm-hmm.
The girl wise, I think we're okay. I know that Dana had dropped.
Yeah, she did.
So that's notable. But I think the roster's fine. I just think that Riptide just needs to continue. Well, not start off so slow next tournament, and I think that if they can not have people get hurt, wear the wrong footwear would be nice. With the right footwear would be nice. I think they could, do well again. So yeah, there's not much to say on that aspect. I think more to come. We'll see if there's any change this week, and I feel like if there's any trades, I think Riptide would be involved. So yeah,
they could trade up until a trade can happen before August.
Yes, a trade can happen before we play. Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
Didn't know that. All right, cool. No notes for me for Riptide. Ride that wave.
All right. Thanks for sharing some tea with us. Mac had to deal with some personal issues, so I will be finishing up the show solo. And next we have our top 3 plays of semi-pro. Coming in at number 3, we got Kyle Boot Camp. Kicking a ball down third baseline, Frankie deflects the ball towards the bump block where Meg makes a beautiful diving and tuck catch to get the out. Appreciate her concentration, dedication to finishing that play. Coming at number 2, we're going to have Sarah, who bunts down 1 to move Sergio from first. She gets the defense to throw the ball to first, allowing Sergio around the bases, and much like Forrest Gump, never stops. Forces the defense to throw at him for a peg, but luckily Sergio was on the base at the time and continues to run home to score the run. And for your number 1 play, we have Rob taking a deep shot in right field. Ball is not caught. Steve rounds from second to third to go to home. Chris throws the ball in, and Bree directs the ball right back into Steve's hand. It's a great throw from Chris and great position for the catcher to deflect that ball to get the out. Great job. All right, so before we get on out of here, we have our look ahead segment. Really quick, August Semi-Pro is going to be at Breezy Park. There's the address up there. Pool 1 is going to be Riptide, Orbit, and Boot Camp. Pool 2 is going to be Black Knights, Rough Riders, and Crimson Lions. Now, Riptide is going to be crossover with Black Knights, Orbit's crossovers with Rough Riders, and Boot Camp's crossovers with the Crimson Lions. Now, for Pool 1, my predictions. So, former champions Riptide, I think they are going to do well. I believe they'll make the playoffs. Then that leaves Orbit and Boot Camp. So Boot Camp just missed the last playoffs. Boot Camp barely made the playoffs, defeating Crimson Lions 2-1. I think Orbit bounces back and makes the playoffs, thus leaving out Boot Camp. Heading to Pool 2, we got Black Knights. Had a really impressive tournament. I think they got better after the draft. So I think they make it. Rough Riders, Crimson Lions. Yeah, I have to go with Rough Riders because until I see differently, Crimson Lions are in a tough spot. So for my playoffs, I have Riptide and Orbit, and Black Knight and Rough Riders. All right, guys, this is it for the 3rd edition of the Semi-Pro Show, and we'll look forward to seeing you out there. Good luck, everybody. Peace.